and viciousness that maybe has been taken out of the game to a degree. But in this day and age of you've got to score to win, boy, is it made for some entertaining games these first couple of weeks. It was so frustrating last week. The Titans were not a part of one of them, but yesterday they sure were. And, the night game comes right back with a classic. The Colts-Rams game took plenty of twists and turns. That was a great game. So, hey, you gotta hand it. The NFL has got a great product going right now from an entertainment standpoint in terms of the way the games are flowing and the unpredictability of what you're going to see.
Yeah, in fact, one of them had quite the interesting ending. Elijah, do you have that queued up as we talked about last night, to have that queued and ready to go for people who didn't hear the call to the end of that game? Do we have that readily available?
Oh, not yet, but if you give me a couple seconds, I'll be able to pull it
up. Yeah, the 2-0 Cardinals, and we're going to let you hear how they got to 2-0.
Yeah, that'll be fun. What not to do as a play-by-play announcer.
Do you cringe?
I do, because, listen, as a play-by-play announcer, I will be not quick to jump on mistakes that people make because you could be that guy.
Sure.
And you could be on one of these clips someday, which, makes you lose sleep at night. But this is Broadcasting 101. You never assume that what you see is what's happening until you see the signal from the referee on a field goal. Like I'm thinking in hockey, like that's the first place my brain goes is, now how could that happen in hockey? And there are times where you're not sure if the guy made the save or the puck went in. And you gotta look at the official sometimes, or you listen for the goal horn. There's your cues that help you if you delay a second and don't rush it. Of course, I've made that mistake before. But, man, this is the nightmare, right? The game is on the line, and you want to let it fly because you think you've got it won. And so what's about to happen, we'll hear it here in a little bit, but the Vikings were lining up for the game-winning field goal. Ironically, with Greg Joseph, who is in the club of the ex-Titans kickers that we went through last week. We did our kicker research study led by Elijah Campbell in the studio last week and trying to figure out the origin of where you find the kicker. And as we found out, it's a little bit tougher than it might appear, but certainly the Titans kicker had his heroics yesterday. Randy Bullock got the job done. He did miss one, but boy, he was called upon. That was a tricky day to be the kicker. He had to make a lot of kicks. So now let's go to Arizona. Minnesota is lining up for a game-winning kick on the last play of the game. It's a very makeable 30-something yard field goal.
I think.
From straightaway.
Yep, straightaway. And here's the call by the Vikings announcers.
High snap, put down. Joseph, come on! It is good! No, he missed it. Good. Are you kidding me? He missed it right.
He missed it right.
Oh, my heavens.
Oh, my.
He missed it right.
What a gut punch to a team. Paul, that play after play toward the end fought its way back.
Oh, missed it by like a foot.
And just,
oh my God.
By the way, it was more than a foot.
He missed it.
He missed it.
It was leaking. He had leakage.
Just play, Elijah, the beginning part again. Just the whole God, just to that part. And then, oh, no.
Come on! It is good!
Oh, no.
Are you kidding me? He missed it right.
He missed it right.
It's good. No, it's not.
My favorite part's like, come on.
Oh, no. I must have.
Come on.
I watched that probably 15 times last night. It was, I don't want to laugh. Come on. That's just too good. It's good. Oh, no. No. He missed it right.
We need to keep just that part for bad beats or something in the future. We need to just file that one away for it's good. No, it's not. Oh, he missed it.
Oh, that's a good drop.
It's good. He missed it.
For trivia or anything like that.
Greg Joseph. Yikes.
That's not good.
It was basically an extra point. It was just past an extra point. Lined up perfectly, straight away. It looks like it is, Arizona's going to lose to Minnesota at home after coming off a big one on the road here. Everybody thought they were going to get off to a 2-0 start, And it looks like, Minnesota, who lost to Cincinnati last week. Wow, what a win. And by the way, it was an exciting game. You're talking about back and forth. I don't know if people have figured out that Kyler Murray guy is pretty good. He's a pretty good quarterback. He was back at it again yesterday.
He made some mistakes, but he ended up with, 400 yards and 3 touchdown passes.
And 1 running in, like he always does.
He is tough to handle. You know, the Vikings guys, too, they've got some great calls, some that go the Vikings' way and some that don't. Those guys have always worn their hearts on their sleeve. It's not everybody's style, but they are unabashed enthusiasts, crazy. They'll say the good and the bad. Both of those guys, it's hard to tell them apart. They're both so emotional. The two guys are on there. We've had them on our show before. Mm-hmm. The one that comes to mind for me is the Brett Favre when he had the bad pick in the championship game against the Saints, where he goes, "You can take a knee, remember, and kick a 54-yard field goal. What is he doing?" He just got all over Brett Favre for the screw up at the end of the game, and the Vikings missed a chance and ended up losing in overtime, and the Saints go on to win the Super Bowl. That was the Brett Favre great moment that he had when he went to the Vikings. So, wow. Heartache for the Minnesota fans.
Indeed it was. Wasn't for the Titans fans, as the Titans get a huge, huge overtime win. We've got a lot to break down, and I mean a lot, here in this first hour. We'll also welcome your phone calls if you want to get involved in the discussion, if you want to talk about the win yesterday in Seattle. It looked really bleak at halftime. It looked like it was going to be – we already knew the Colts outcome. They had already lost to the Rams. So we knew the Colts were 0-2, and it kind of looked like it was setting up for a matchup at Nissan Stadium next week, or this Sunday, of 2 0-2 teams, and the loser's going to be 0-3 to start the season, because at halftime it did not look good. And that's why they play 60 minutes. In this case, a little bit more than 60 minutes, and the Titans came away with a huge win. So we'll come back. We'll discuss everything that was in that game, and we'll do that on the other side as you listen to Darren, Daunic, and Chase, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hang out with us every weekday starting at 6 a.m. with Robbie and Rexroad.
Limping off the field. I can confirm he was limping off the field.
Darren, Daunic, and Chase from 10 to 2.
Wouldn't say it deserves a gold star.
We want people to play along.
This is what's crazy.
And Stillman and Company from 2 to 6.
I want to go last. Can I go last? Sure.
Watch live on Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube. Tune in anytime on the Game Nashville app or your home speaker. This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Tune in to ESPN 102.5 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman & Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
Bode Nashville puts you in a chic and stylish downtown Nashville hotel, walking distance to some of Music City's most popular spots. Working with local partners, they introduce you to the city, its craft, and its tastes. From their porch coffee and marketplace, serving local coffee from Stay Golden, to their in-house cocktail bar, Sidebar. Bode Nashville is a perfect spot for your pregame or nightcap and citywide adventure in between. Connect to Music City, its culture, its craft, and each other at Bode Nashville at 401 2nd Avenue South in Sobro.
Hey, this is Jared, the owner of MTGRT.com. If your mortgage rate is not in the twos, then you need to call me now. We are locking in clients in the twos with no closing costs. That's right, you heard it right. Locking in clients in the twos with no closing costs. Text me on my personal cell at 615-969-2257 or fill out a few pieces of information on our website, MTGRT.com. MTGRT.com is the proud sponsor of Paul Feinbaum, heard on ESPN 94.9.
Are you tired of living with chronic pain, knee pain, joint pain? Listen carefully, because now there are new treatments available here. Not talking surgery or steroids. These are regenerative treatments from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Willie Daunic here. QC Kinetics is the leader in these exciting biologic therapies that help restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints with lasting results. So if you've got pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back, joint pain that won't go away, you need to check out these new treatments with astonishing patient satisfaction reports. They can actually help your body restore and repair itself with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery. So call now to schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. Tired of dealing with joint pain and want to get moving again? You need to learn more about how biologic therapies are changing the way we think about dealing with joint pain. It's exciting stuff, so don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
Here they come, turn 4.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe. Every Saturday morning at 9, we hit the big topics. The Ally 400, Kyle Busch, frustrated, Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, and talk to the big names.
I'll go ahead and blame you.
Oh, I think it's big.
Could go a lot of different directions right now.
I was so impressed.
How cool that's going to be.
It's Chasing Checkers, Saturday morning at 9 on ESPN 102.5 The Game and wherever you get your podcast.
Hey Nashville, this is Gary Bettman. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
And it wasn't easy. This is a tough place to play. Give them a lot of credit. You know, we understand the pedigree of this football team, this organization, how difficult it is to come in here and win, how difficult it is. So I'm proud of our football team.
Mike Vrabel talking after the 33-30 victory in overtime against the Seahawks. So both teams at 1-1, and the Titans will have an opportunity to just next weekend to take a commanding lead already in the division with a big win over the Colts, where they can go to 2-1, and Indy could drop to 0-3 on the season. And honk if you've heard this before, Carson Wentz is hurt. Again.
What's the prognosis?
Don't know. Haven't seen anything yet. But
didn't they say something this morning?
I haven't seen it.
I think they did. I'll look and see if we can find the guys were talking about it. That is one of the things you get with Carson Wentz is you get a guy that hustles and puts his body on the line, and that is what goes with that sometimes.
David Culley, Texans head coach, confirming today that Deshaun Watson will not play in Week 3, despite Tyrod Taylor's hamstring injury. He's another one who left the game against the Browns. So with Tua getting hurt, you do wonder. I think you're going to hear a lot of rumors flying around about Deshaun Watson in a trade. What do you think? Is Houston really just prepared to sit on him all year? Are they just eventually?
Is the league ever going to say anything about is he suspended or not suspended? What's the story?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
it's a very convenient thing right now
right.
that you have this nebulous. He doesn't want to play for Houston anyway, so they kind of don't need to do anything. But at some point, you got to make a ruling, don't you? I know that the legal part of this is complicated and it's been pushed way back, and it's not going to be resolved anytime soon. It doesn't look like. But in the meantime, so Tua, according to Tom Pelissero, further tests this morning on bruised ribs didn't reveal any major issues. X-rays negative, so it will be pain tolerance and functionality. Ironically, of course, they have Jacoby Brissett, the guy that, you know, the Colts might like to have right now, sitting there as the backup.
Right.
And he is going to be maybe quarterbacking the Dolphins this week, and a lot of people are like, well, Brissett's really not that much worse than Tua. They got destroyed. Holy cow.
Yeah, that was never a game. That was the one, I mean, I would say Patriots and the Bills game, just two games that were never really a game. They just weren't. I mean, they were in control. I mean, obviously the Bills were. I mean, we know that. But, I mean, the Patriots were in control the whole game. I mean, they made a rookie quarterback look like a rookie quarterback, and the Jets are the Jets. So those were the two games that were absolutely nothing to see there. Keep moving. By the way, Colts quarterback Carson Wentz, just saw on Twitter, I was kind of scrolling through, looking at the guys who cover the league, and it looks like he's dealing with injuries to both ankles. And he's having tests today to determine the severity of the sprains suffered yesterday to both ankles.
It didn't look good. That was an interesting game to watch. I thought that Wentz actually had his moments there. You know, the crowd wants to get behind him. you appreciate that he's willing to throw his body around. He didn't slide. There were times where he was diving, and you're just thinking to yourself, I know this guy's injury history. How long is it going to be before he gets hurt? And then sure enough, he's out. And then Eason comes in and throws a huge pick. A juicy. Let's try to throw it at Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Not a good idea.
Or not. Yeah. All right, let's get to the Titans game that was out in Seattle. There's a lot of layers to this game. Let's start with Taylor Lewan, their left tackle, who certainly garnered a lot of attention after week 1 for all the wrong reasons. He goes out in warm-ups, not going to give it a go. Inactive, out for the game against Seattle. I guess still dealing with the knee injury.
Well, it looked bad because the clip that they showed right before the opening kickoff, they showed what happened. I think Tehran tweeted it out too when it happened hours before the game. It's the same knee. It wasn't a real. He's just in his regular workout gear. He doesn't even have his uniform on, not even his football pants, and he's just doing a drill with a coach with the big old umpire chest protector pad there. He's just going through some motions there, and it just gave out on him. So that is really troublesome. I don't know what that's happening, if it's just discomfort, instability, but it looked like instability to me. Now, is that long term, or is there something new there? But boy, that has you worried. But to their credit, man, did they ever juggle and make it work with Saffold going out during the same game?
And it didn't look good in the first half. It did not look good.
No, they had trouble. But we're going to talk about this. I thought the key to the game was those guys got the job done. Sombrayo, Quisenberry, Aaron Brewer, but also they got the help. They figured out how to make it work, and they used the multiple tight ends a lot. 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, even without Anthony Ferkser.
Yep.
They just went old school. The bringing back of Michael Pruitt might have been the key to the game.
He was
crazy as that sounds.
Up.
He played a great game.
He was fired up, man.
He was in there a ton. Why didn't they bring him back? That's my question. I was like, they waited all summer. Anybody could have had him. He might have been the unsung hero. He was the unsung hero of this game.
Drew a couple key penalties.
He gave him an energy boost. He went at it, jawed with Jamal Adams, kind of got him off their game a little. But more importantly, caught a couple big passes, and he was in there blocking. Him, Swaim, Hudson was the third guy. Those guys
Hudson
helped.
Had a big catch.
And it's not just the catches. They're just good enough to keep you honest catching the ball, all 3 of them. But it's the down in blocking for Derrick Henry, pass protecting to allow Tannehill to have the time, which he didn't have last week. To me, that was sort of the underlying theme of the game, is how did the Titans find the rhythm on offense with a serious offensive line issue? They used the tight ends.
Yep.
The 12 personnel, the 13 personnel, key.
Going back to the Taylor Lewan situation, we don't know how this is going to play out. Mike Vrabel's going to speak at 2 o'clock today, so obviously a little bit later start than normal because they, of course, coming back from the West Coast, so we anticipated it being later today. I guess there probably won't be any update.
You assume there won't.
On Taylor Lewan, as they would say on Around the Horn, Taylor Lewan.
But it looks to me like they've got to get that looks like MRI. Let's check it out. Let's see what's going on in there to see if there's anything going on. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's just soreness. But
I don't think it's soreness.
It looks bad.
I mean, it looks more than just soreness, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, it was clearly an issue in week 1 that he was playing with. He did not have the strength, the lower body strength in that leg, because he was getting blown up. He just wasn't himself. So
if
it was an issue, and then maybe
it
just gives you the feeling it's been bothering him for a while, and then he's trying to play through it, and it's not getting better, it's getting worse.
Well, we've talked about it a lot in the offseason, and I know we're a long ways away from this, but just kind of revisiting that discussion, we've looked up his contract. I mean, the Titans can almost walk away from his contract after this season. It's less than $2 million, like their walk-away number. And you just have to believe if he really isn't a factor this year, if he doesn't play much or he's just not really much of a factor, I think it's almost a foregone conclusion. They're just going to walk away from that contract. I mean, you hate to say it because when he's in there and when he's healthy and when he's upright and he's not doing dumb things, he's really, really good. But he's also spent a lot of time on the sidelines just watching. And can you keep paying a guy that kind of money just to keep watching and keep plowing through without him all the time? Do you want to sign up again next year for that? I have to believe the answer is no way.
Well, because you couple it with the fact that there are a number of players, top players, whose salary cap number, salary bonus go way up next year. That's why you cannot underestimate how big of a win that was yesterday, and couple it with the fact that the Colts lost, because there's so much riding on this year. This is a go-for-it year. They haven't really said that, but when you look at how they've structured Tannehill's contract, Julio Jones, Bud Dupree's contract, Lewan's contract, remember, the cap is going to go up, which will help them some. And they had to make some tough decisions last year. But it's not going to go enough up to service all of these deals. Some of these guys are going to have to go after this year. So even if Lewan plays okay, he's still a candidate to either restructure or cut. So you feel for him, because I know that's got to be somewhere in the back of his mind. But let's not put the cart ahead of the horse. Let's wait and hear what happens. But I do know that is something that will be noted.
Yeah, and it doesn't look good. We're not doctors and we don't have any idea, but it doesn't feel like, oh, he'll be fine. He'll be back out there against the Colts on Sunday. I mean, to me, I would be pleasantly surprised if he was out there on Sunday. It just doesn't look or feel that way.
Nah.
Just looks like he's not ready to be back from the injury.
It was
right?
one of those things because, again, it's not a real strenuous drill. It's just sort of a warm-up drill. But you knew the minute he pulled up, he's not playing today. Isn't that the feeling you got? It's like if you saw that clip, it's like, well, he's out. He can't put any weight on it. It's not stable.
Ryan on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, asked the question, why hasn't Lewan been wearing a brace on that knee? It's a pretty good question. I wonder why. Because if what you just said is true, wouldn't a brace provide some stability?
Has he not been wearing a brace in the game? I don't know if he has or not. He wasn't in the drill. It's an interesting thing, the knee brace. I've got experience with it. You do too. It's not a fun thing to wear, and it's hard to know how much it's helping you or not helping you. But a lot of people, for example, with offensive linemen, especially in college, they make all of the offensive linemen wear braces on both knees.
They do.
Even if they haven't had an injury.
That's correct.
So some people really swear by it that in terms of trying to help it stay stable. So I don't know the story with that.
Let's get to the officiating, or lack of, that I thought was a huge problem the entire game. I just thought this crew had an awful day at the office. I really do. I mean, I can only imagine if the Titans lose that game, especially if they lose in overtime. Forget if they never come out in the second half, but especially in overtime, if they lose that game in overtime today, I can only imagine what the pulse of the fan base would be. My guess, it would be pea and vinegar. It really would be, because I'm sorry, that's a safety. I don't know what in the world they're talking about. You can tell me everything you want to tell me. I don't care if you trot out what former ref you want to tell me. I don't need to have worn a black and white striped shirt and have a whistle around my neck to sit there and look at that play about 15 times, which I did. And you tell me, or you think his forward progress and his momentum had stopped at the 1 yard line. There is no way you could say that. That was just flat out a safety. It just was. I can't be convinced otherwise. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's my view. That's the way I look at it. And when I look at that play, that was absolutely a safety, and the game should have ended on that play.
I agree. The one thing I will say, and Joe Rexrode said it this morning from Seattle on the morning show, it does seem like in those situations, if there's any benefit of the doubt to be given, the quarterback gets the benefit of the doubt, or the running back coming out of the end zone on a handoff. It's like they just don't want to call a safety unless it's just clear cut.
But why?
I don't know.
It's a rule.
I don't know.
It's part of the game. I mean, I don't even understand that mentality. What do you mean?
I guess it goes back to the old philosophical discussion we've had is, are you swallowing the whistle basically because you don't want the game to end on a safety? I have seen a game involving the Titans end on a safety. Billy Volek got tackled by the Bears in the end zone. I remember that game in overtime. It ended. And a game the Titans should have won. And it kind of killed their season, or any hope that they had in the season. I don't know if it would have turned out well or not, but that one I did think was pretty clear-cut. He got spun around, and by the time he is going to throw the ball away, which is going to be grounding, he is well into the end zone.
Well into the end zone.
He's way back there. Yeah, and so it's a stretch to say, well, his forward progress was stopped at the half-yard line, which is what they said. And that's what they got away with rule-wise. Say, well, it was in the grass, whatever. But how many times? You can't convince me that I couldn't pull up 50 clips of quarterbacks who escape and make a great play, and the guy that's trying to sack the quarterback saying, wait a minute, if that's a sack, you're giving me the sack at the half-yard line on that and not these 50 other plays where the guy, you're trying to avoid the quarterback getting crunched. But there's still an escape factor that happens a lot on plays like that. And if Wilson escapes and throws that ball and completes the pass, are they calling that?
Right.
I don't know. Were they really blowing the whistle at that time? I don't know. It just seemed like a convenient, let's just put it on the one.
It's just wrong. I mean, I don't care if the precedent has been set. Like, you don't want to end a game on a safety. It's the home team. They're going to get the benefit of the doubt of the quarterback. I don't care what excuse you come up with. I don't care if that's the way they've always called it. It's just wrong. I mean, I don't know why you have a safety
It's a bad call
in the rule book if you're going to pick and choose when you want to call it. So what? It's got to be a meaningless play in a meaningless game, or it's got to be early in the first quarter to call it because it doesn't affect the team. They got the whole rest of the game to make up. It's just flat out wrong. Like, that's a safety. Like, there's no way you can tell me that they knew that his forward progress had stopped at the half-yard line, the 1 yard line. Whatever. There's no way. And like you said, that's a really good point. So he just slings it downfield. What if somebody like DK Metcalf jumps up in the air and catches it? Are you telling me they would have ruled that incomplete?
They
said the play was dead?
If that's their call, that's what should have happened. It should have been ball at the one. But that would have been a deal where the Seahawks go nuts, right? The Seahawks would have gone, wait a minute. He wasn't down.
Right.
His forward progress wasn't stopped.
Exactly.
That's Russell Wilson. He gets out of stuff like that all the time. So, officials in that game, of course, as we know, this is a tough game to officiate. There are a lot of tough calls in there, but that was messed up. And you can't double check on a replay on that. That's the thing that really hurt, is that's not a reviewable play. If you rule that his forward progress is stopped, you can't go back and look at it, apparently.
Yeah, which is another thing. It's just wrong. I guess, though, you can't overturn it. If you've ruled it dead, you can't change it. So it's just a silly – I mean, it's just an awful, awful call. That's what I'm saying. Like, what if Seattle keeps the drive alive? What if they march down and they kick a field goal? By the way, they could have won on a field goal. They didn't need a touchdown. So what if they win the game by keeping that drive alive? I can only imagine the venom that would be out there with the Titans fan base, and it would be warranted. It would absolutely would be warranted. Luckily, it didn't play out that way. The other one, to me, actually, there's several.
Well, there was a lot of penalties called.
The safety, the Julio Jones touchdown. Once again, I'll just keep saying it, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But you're not going to convince me that's not a touchdown. It's a touchdown. I tweeted out that's 100% a touchdown. I don't care what they come back with. That's 100% a touchdown. And they came back with not only not a touchdown, no catch. It's like, give me a break. Like, that is a catch and a touchdown. I'm sorry. I cannot be convinced otherwise. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'd like to know how you're going to prove me that that's wrong, because I've seen there's been enough out there on social media, still shots, to show me. You tell me, is his foot in bounds? Looks like it's in bounds to me. Did he get both feet in? Yes. Did he have possession of the ball? Yes. How's that not a touchdown?
Okay. Well, there's a couple arguments that you can make on this. Both are good arguments for the Titans. And Gene Sarator, I thought, did a really good job of educating us of what the rule was, because I didn't know. I thought once his toe hit, that's all you needed. Because we've seen a million catches. Elijah brought up the Santonio Holmes in the Super Bowl, the game-winning play for the Steelers in the Super Bowl against the Cardinals, where his absolute tippy toes are in, and that's it. And he hops, but he's got the tippy toes in there, and that's a touchdown. But as Gene Sarator points out, the rule is that if your whole foot lands down, the whole foot has to be in bounds.
It's just
and
silly.
That's a bad rule.
It's a silly rule. It doesn't make any. So you don't have to have the heels down on a tiptoe catch.
Right. He could tiptoe. Julio could have tiptoed 10 feet out,
and it's more acceptable.
And it would have been a touchdown.
Right. But
because his whole
started
foot
with his
landed,
heel, right,
and part of his foot, according to the replay, landed out of bounds. Now that's the other argument you can make: was that conclusive?
Remember, the play was called a touchdown.
It was called a touchdown on the field, and it is as close as you can get.
You're telling me you can – and look, and yes, I don't believe any part of his shoe was out of bounds, but, I mean, it's right there. I'm willing to admit it's right there. But are you telling me the play on the field is called a touchdown, and you're telling me when you get under that hoodie, you look at that, I don't care what angle you have, you're telling me you know for sure that he touched paint? No. I disagree. I adamantly disagree.
So by rule, their ruling was because the whole foot has to be in bounds, they thought just the heel clipped a little chip of paint on the white, and therefore it's not a touchdown. So the rule, they enforced the rule correctly. But I'm with you that they've got to look at that rule. That's a catch. It's like when we talked about the Calvin Johnson controversy and the who was the guy on the Cowboys? Des Bryant against the Packers. There are just times where common sense has to say, did the guy catch the ball? Is that a touchdown or not a touchdown? That's a touchdown. I think had that been a Seahawks guy and that call goes against the Seahawks, I think all of us, even if you're watching it through the prism of the Titans, you're going to have to say, look, that's a touchdown, man.
Willie, I don't care about the rule. Like, honestly, yes, I learned
that's
something
the rule.
new. Like but I don't even care about that. Like, I'm disputing that he was out of bounds, period, no matter what. Like, I don't care what the rule is.
You're saying his whole foot was in.
I'm saying he was in.
Okay.
Like, you show me
that's
something.
That's a good argument, too.
You're telling me they have an angle that shows for sure he was touching paint.
No,
There's no way out.
That's the Philip Forsberg Stanley Cup principle, too. The first goal of the Stanley Cup final against the Penguins, where the principle of, is it undisputable? Is it clear-cut to overturn the call on the film? And the answer is no.
No, right. The answer is no.
It's not conclusive.
Their answer is no. The other thing is the bad spot. A horrible spot.
Oh, that was bad.
And I tweeted out, CBS, thanks for the replay. Never even showed the replay. Never once showed us the replay.
Well, you know why, though? Here is
they went into hurry up.
They did, and
they
see,
snapped it quick.
That is a good, savvy move that offenses do now. Is whatever the signal is from the replay booth is get your butt on the ball and run a play fast, because I don't think he got there. Now, fortunately, the Titans ended up. I think they got the stop, right? So that didn't cost them in that situation. And so the other part of this is I think the Titans have to go back and say, what's our system here for being able to spot an egregious missed call? Because, like you said, they never put the replay up there. But you've got to have a sense somewhere. It can't just be a gut feeling, you've got to quickly look. Like you've got to freeze the TV. And when you do, you see that Carson is a good 3/4 of a yard shy of the marker. It's not even close. It's a clear cut. It would have been overturned. Had they thrown the challenge flag, then they win the challenge. But Mike Vrabel doesn't get the signal in time. So that's one where I'm going back today and saying, okay, logistically, tell me what happened up there. What is your method of trying to see that as quickly as we can? Because we know we don't have time. We know they're going to run up on the ball, and they're going to force us to make a tough decision. So we've got to have our stuff in order faster. You know what I'm saying? Like CBS, they've got to get to the play. They've got to if the ball snapped, they've got to run the play.
I understand.
There's just not time to run because to Seattle's credit, they're forcing your hand. They're saying, okay, you think he was short? We know he was short, but we're running a play as fast as we can, and you got to make that call quick.
Yeah, yet again, another horrific call. I mean, this crew was
I don't know.
garbage.
I don't know where they were. That was so
garbage.
easy to see in real time
it
wasn't even close.
Wasn't even close. It just was a garbage day for that crew. It really was. And we can, sit here and feel okay about it, or it doesn't bother us as much because the outcome, the Titans got rewarded. They got the win. But that just truly overall was just a garbage performance by that crew. It
right,
just was.
And there were some tic-tac calls against Seattle. For example, did you think – now, I think you can argue it, but the taunting –
I tweeted out about it. I will tell you right now, I vehemently disagree with that call. And it went in the Titans' favor.
Yeah.
And I think, but as I tweeted out, I guess that's one of many makeup calls they owe the Titans today. Because it's honestly, yet again, I don't care if it's the letter of the law. It doesn't make any sense. Here's what I don't understand. So you want these guys out there playing this. I mean, this game is so violent, and these guys are chirping at each other all game long. So they are talking. It is a man's game, okay? A man's game, okay? And they've been going back and forth the entire game. And you think on that play, so because I said, somebody pointed out on Twitter, well, he could, if he just would have turned to the crowd and did it and not to the Titans player, it wouldn't have been. Oh, so let me get this straight. So you can get up and you can do the same thing as long as you're not looking at the guy. It's okay. It's not taunting.
Exactly.
But since you looked at him, it's taunting. Like, give me a break.
But that is to their credit. This is again where Sarator and I really think that these guys now, Mike Pereira, Sarator, and is it Terry McCauley? Is that the guy that NBC's? Those guys are pretty good at educating. Sarator said the players have been taught. They are shown the clips. If you lean over the guy, they're looking for that. They're looking. Now, was that ticky-tack? Oh, yeah, because I've seen taunting, right? I grew up. I watched the U. I lived in Florida. I watched Miami a lot, and you talk about taunting. Now, that was, the rule was put in because of Miami, probably, right? The Hurricanes back in the day. So that was about a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10 of what it used to be. But still, they know. You can't lean over the guy.
You play this emotional
You take
game,
a chance. And I do think if he turns away, if he turns his shoulders away from the receiver, A.J. Brown, then they probably give it to him. They don't give him the flag.
It's weak. And like I said, I'm happy it went in the Titans' favor, but it's a weak call. It's a really weak call.
Big picture, Seattle handed the game to the Titans.
Yeah, they did.
With penalties. They made so many bad penalties at bad times. That's what they're talking about in Seattle today. And I don't know if it's so much the refs screwed us. It's like, how can you do so many dumb things?
Well, and some of that, that's going back to Michael Pruitt. I mean, I think the Titans were getting in their heads. They
I
just
agree.
were. The Seattle had 10 penalties for 100 yards.
I thought the Titans did a good job of using the aggressiveness of Jamal Adams against him. Mm-hmm. He got so emotional. He got into it with Michael Pruitt a lot. He had the head-to-head hit on Tannehill at a bad time to give him 15 more yards, which it didn't end up costing him in the overtime, but it gave them the field position to back him up to the 10-yard line, which was really, really big. And On Derrick Henry's 60-yard run, Adams is trying to get in there, overly aggressive. He shoots in, and A.J. Brown makes a great block and seals him to the inside, and that frees up Henry to go to work, which he did. And add that guy. What is Diggs' first name? The safety? He had a number 6.
Quandre Diggs.
Quandre Diggs. He had some fun. He joins the club. Kind of an underrated stiff arm. He didn't get decleated and thrown back, but he kind of got his head thrown down to the turf. And then they isolate him walking back to the bench, and he chucks his helmet onto the bench because he just got absolutely toasted. He's the latest guy.
Those guys by now,
they got no
chance.
Like,
we don't want to be that
they
guy.
They cannot tackle him.
That everybody references, and then when it happens, it's like, crap.
It's like, man, I'm on the list now. I'm on
on
the reel.
Right. I'm on the list.
Put me behind the guy put me behind Norman for the Bills, and the guy on the. It's just one after another. The guy's got no chance
right now.
Like how many times? Like a running back running down the sideline where the defensive back has the angle. The defensive back should push him out of bounds 95 out of 100. But when it's that guy that's that big and that fast, you're like, this guy has no chance. He is not going to get him. And he didn't.
Nope, he did not. All right.
And he got slammed out of the turf to go for it. Like he doesn't even get a chance to tackle him. He's like, what are you doing? Where are you going? I'm just going to slap you down right here at the 10 and just hit on right into the end zone.
We'll talk with TD to start the second hour of the program. We'll come back and wrap up the first hour here on this rainy Monday. By the way, speaking of that, there's going to be a lot of flooding in a lot of areas, so there's a lot of warnings out there, flash flood warnings. So just be careful when you're out there, out and about. You're driving around. We've taken on a lot of rain in this area over the last 48 hours. I want to talk to you about DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL, and DraftKings is kicking off yet again another week of action by giving all new customers this can't-miss offer. All you have to do is just bet $1 on any football game this week and receive $150 in free bets instantly, no matter what. This football season, all customers can swing big with DraftKings same-game parlays. Same-game parlays allows you to combine multiple bets for a bigger payout. This week, place a same-game parlay on any NFL game and you will be credited up to $25 if your bet loses. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code 1025GAME and receive $150 in free bets instantly when you place $1 bet on any football game. That code again, 1025GAME. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, you must be 21 years of age or older, Tennessee only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and needs help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Henry at the 5, getting it in. He will. What a run and a touchdown.
King Henry and the Titans orchestrate a comeback win in Seattle.
It is good. Randy Bullock delivers.
We're reacting all day to the Titans' first win of the season on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Scattered showers will continue with us once again today. A flash flood watch remains in effect until 7 p.m. Showers will taper off this evening.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota compact tractors. Rated #1 for reliability in the under 100 horsepower category, they're designed for easy operation and feature performance-matched attachments. Right now, put 0 down and get 0% APR for 84 months, plus save up to $1,400. Now through December 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
In 1972, a Nashville family business story began when Bill and Beverly Finley founded Volunteer Hose and Gasket. 3 generations have grown the business into the local industry leader supplying just about anything to anybody, from the largest of contractors to your neighbor that mows his own yard. Over 1 million items in stock: belts, belting accessories, gaskets, gauges, hose fittings, hydraulics, industrial hoses, lubricants, sealing products, tubing, fire protection, and more. All at volunteerhose.net. If Volunteer Hose and Gasket doesn't have it, then you probably don't need it. Call them at 615-242-0461.
Paul Feinbaum here for the Southeast leader for cranes and equipment rental, CraneWorks. The CraneWorks team in Nashville, Birmingham, and Mobile is ready to make your next construction or maintenance project a big success. Give CraneWorks a call for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project. And don't forget, RentalWorks has a full line of rental equipment for jobs both big and small, and now offering qualified operators for all equipment, including aerial and earth-moving equipment. Call CraneWorks at 877-282-LIFT or visit them on the web at craneworks.com.
Jared Stillman.
This show, if you're a listener to it, I think is educated enough to know what a good general manager is.
And Company.
At the end of the day, wins really are all that matters.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Delivered by TriStar Moving. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Interact with Darren, Daunic, and Chase. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
With an overtime win, Bullock from 36 yards away. Kick on the way, and it is good! Randy Bullock delivers!
Bringing us back from the break, welcome back to Darren, Daunic, and Chase, presented by Creation CBD. Creation CBD products curated for life. Darren McFarland and Willie Daunic here with you. Elijah Campbell manning the board at Game Studios. You can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are thinking about Chase McCabe and his family here today as he lost his father over the weekend. Fought a courageous battle with cancer and passed away on Saturday evening. So, Chase, we're thinking about you, and we look forward to talking to you when you get back, man. But we're thinking about you and your family as you go through this tough time. We'll talk with Teron Davenport coming up at 11 o'clock. You know, the other thing that we talked about a lot last week is I went through the stats. Remember when it was brought up in a press conference we were playing live, and it was asked about Derrick Henry's kind of, success on the road, and I went back and I looked, and it was like, wow. Like, I knew it was good. I didn't realize it was that good. And remember we were trying to figure out, is it just a coincidence or is it just truly something you have to think about? His road success. Like, he has had more success on the road than he has at home. And here we go. He did it again. Oops, he did it again. 182 yards, 35 carries, 3 touchdowns. There's no doubt. By the way, 6 catches for 55 yards as well. I mean, Derrick Henry was King Henry yesterday. He did it all, and he is the reason. Look, it's no secret. When they get him going and he's in this mode, they just don't lose. They just find a way to always win. But they've struggled when he isn't in this mode. But yet again, here's another road game where he comes up with another monster game, and we talked about it all last week. There was only one game last year, and it was the Packers game late in the season on Sunday night, and he rushed for 98 yards. Other than that, he had basically monster games on the road all season long.
This one was unique in that for the first half, it looked like it was more of the same from last week. They just had so many carries that went nowhere.
What do you have, 35 at halftime?
35 yards on 13 carries in the first half. And so Seattle goes into the locker room saying, hey, love what we're doing on defense. We're making it really tough on him. We're locking down in the red zone, the Julio Jones call aside, which should have been a touchdown. We're holding them to field goals. We have control of the game. So that's where I give Todd Downing some credit, is going to those. And I have to look. I didn't really pay as much attention in the first half of what they were trying to do with the personnel groups or what adjustments they might have made in the second half. But 22 carries for 147 in the second half, including, of course, the 60-yard home run. His first home run of the season, a brilliant play call, but it was a lot of the multiple tight end sets. Pruitt, Swaim, Hudson, combination of the three. They didn't use Blasingame a whole lot to get it, but they were certainly willing to take the 1 to 2 yard nothings to get the key yards. And like you said, Darren, this might have been his best game as a receiver. don't you think?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt.
They definitely found something. I give Daunic credit here, is they found something in the back was wide open, almost unaccounted for every time. McNichols caught some key ones on the plays at the 2-minute drill at the end of the game. So and they actually mixed in, oh my gosh, a couple of screen plays. They ran 2 great screens. I don't think I've seen them run a screen in years. It seemed like.
I was like, it's in high def. It looks like the Titans.
I had to go back. I had to stop. I said, was that a screen?
Right.
So they threw 2 good ones. They knew what they were doing on both of them. You got to like that going forward to keep teams honest. So, what can you say? Derrick Henry, man, if there's ever again a tape of show me why this guy is who he is, they're down 24-9 at the half, and he had 22 carries in the second half. That is the thing that you have to keep in mind when you are the offensive coordinator for the Titans, is you can't just abandon the running game. Not this running game when you're behind, because conventional wisdom is, oh, man, we're way behind. We've got to just sling it all over the field. Not when you got Derrick Henry.
What's going on with Ryan Tannehill holding on to the ball too long? 3 fumbles now already in 2 games.
I just thought it was bad protection. Bad. He's always done it. If you look, he likes to hang on to that ball. He will take chances, and you can't fumble. But man, that's two touchdowns handed on a platter.
Yep.
To the offense in the first 2 weeks, and they lived to tell about this one.
They did. JR Tuttle 4 on Twitter says, regarding the taunting penalty, it is one thing if the offending player does it while standing directly over the opposing player who was on the ground, but just doing it while looking towards the opposing player should not matter at all. I don't need to repeat. Obviously, I agree with that. I don't need to repeat it. It's horrible. It's just a bad call. Like I said, I'm glad.
But it's the rule.
They owed the Titans a bunch of calls like that, but it's just overall, like, I'm not going to be phony about it and say that, oh, that's a good call. It was a terrible call.
It's a point of emphasis, and they're looking for it. That's the only thing I would tell the player if I'm the Seattle coach. If I'm the Seattle coach and I'm going to that guy, I'm saying, you know what? We got hosed on that one. That's a bad call, but just remember, they're looking for it. As soon as you do that, they're reaching for the flag. Yep. They've been taught. That's what get it out of the game. If it's close, you throw the flag.
At MC Clifford _24 on Twitter tweets at us as this is going back to the Taylor Lewin injury and the knee brace that we were talking about. I keep saying Lewin. If you didn't hear, you just made the list on Friday. That's what Around the Horn was calling him last week, Taylor Lewin. As someone that has had an ACL reconstruction, as both of us have, I was told the brace isn't necessary after recovery. The brace stabilizes side-to-side stability, and ACL is front-to-back side of knee, so brace doesn't provide any help.
I don't know if I buy that.
I don't either. Not sure if I do either.
I think the lateral movement is important. Now, I do think it's debatable how much the brace helps or doesn't help. I think you can have a debate on that, but the lateral thing is everything with the ACL. The instability lateral, like
what
if
was
you have a bad
with me,
ACL,
you.
Yeah, like you could run straight ahead. I tried to come back in the game. I did it in a basketball old man game, and I went to the sideline. I was like, "What's going on here?" Because I wasn't in a lot of pain, but I was like, "Well, maybe I'm all right." I came back in the game. And as soon as I made a cut, it went down.
It's why hockey players are able to continue playing if they're in the playoffs. Because you've seen it done. I mean, Predators, David Legwand, torn ACL.
Yeah, there are some guys that are somehow able to do it. I still, I don't know enough about skating to know how they're able to do it, but I know people have done it.
Well, it's just a matter of pain tolerance, right?
I guess, and just bracing it so much to keep the stability as much as you can intact. And you can, I guess there are measures you can do to skate. The pivoting, you pivot on the other leg. I don't know. There's tricks, I guess, that guys get by doing.
Yeah, you're not going to hurt it anymore.
Yeah, once it's torn.
It's torn, so you're not going to hurt it anymore.
I remember Austin Carter-Samuels for Vanderbilt a few years ago played the rest of the season with a torn ACL. Just partial plays. He and Pat and Robinette switched, but they set up plays where he would, because he knew he wasn't going to play in the pros. So he was like, I'm just going to try to make this work, and he somehow did, but he certainly wasn't cutting and running.
Didn't Philip Rivers do it? Was it Philip Rivers who played in the playoffs with a torn ACL?
I think that was Rivers.
I think it was Rivers back several years ago. I think he played in the playoffs with a torn ACL.
I don't remember that offhand, but I guess it could be true as long as we're talking about guys who are going to be in the pocket. And
I think that was the year they played the Patriots in the divisional round. They had a team that could have.
I guess that game didn't go very well.
No. Yes, that is a fair assumption to make if you don't remember the game off the bat.
All right, we'll come back. We'll start the second hour and talk with TD. Teron Davenport in the on-deck circle as you listen to Darren, Daunic, and Chase. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From all-day talk.
You can roll with that team. That's good enough to win a lot of football games.
To the biggest games.
The Los Angeles Dodgers have won the World Series for the first time since 1988.
Nashville's best sports talk is always at your fingertips. Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing.
The summer clearance sale at Social Furniture, where all furniture is reduced in every department. Designer sofas from $5.99 and leather sofas from $7.99. Queen bedroom sets with queen bed, dresser, and mirror from $11.99. They come in solid, cherry, oak, and gray. Casual 5-piece dining room sets starting at $3.99, and formal dining sets starting at $5.99. Sealy, Stearns & Foster, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress, all sizes on sale.
Social Furniture on the west side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
Joe Rexrod here for FanDuel. The NFL's back, and FanDuel wants you to get the most out of every play. That's why they're giving away a $10 risk-free bet every week. All you got to do, bet a same-game parlay with 3 legs or more, and if your bet doesn't win, FanDuel will pay you back up to $10. Packers-Lions, not exactly the vintage Monday Night Football game everybody's looking for, but, man, Packers on the money line. Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers over on their yardage. Packers over on points. I like all that stuff tonight. And this is what I also like, betting with a FanDuel Sportsbook. Fast payouts, easy to use, safe and secure. It's America's #1 sportsbook for all those reasons. There's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay, so lock in your bet today. Get up $10 back if it doesn't win. If you're new, sign up promo code Joe102, and you also get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code Joe102, so they know I sent you. You must be 21 or older in present Tennessee. Refund issued as a non-withdrawable strike credit. Expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Same-game parlay available for multiple sports in all states on mobile and web. If you have a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. There's no better time to upgrade your essential home systems than this month with Hiller. They're offering credits for your old home systems. Trade in your old HVAC unit and earn up to $1,500 in credits towards a select new system. Upgrade from a standard water heater to a tankless water heater and earn up to $500 with your trade. Trade up to a new electrical panel and earn up to $500 in credits for your old one. Their work is backed by the Happy You'll Be or Services Free guarantee. Their technicians are continuing to take measures to keep you and your family safe and healthy on every single call. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud sponsors of the Nashville Predators, Vanderbilt, and the Tennessee Volunteers.
Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee ensures children and teens, especially those who need us most, are ready to read, ready for class, ready to graduate, ready for their career, and ready to serve the community. You can support local youth and their great futures by donating at bgcmt.org.
Did you know the arrow in Amazon's logo represents A to Z? Maybe the My Computer Career logo should represent unemployed to employed. Ryan was out of work when he started classes in March. In September, he started his IT career, working for Amazon, making more money than he ever thought possible. Here's a prime opportunity. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the the Game Nashville studios, it's time for Darren, Daunic, and Chase. With hosts Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, and Chase McCabe. On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Second hour, Darren, Daunic, and Chase here on this rainy Monday. Hope you're having a good day. There are flash flood warnings and alerts out there. Please be careful. Probably a lot of standing water. If you're out driving out and about, just be careful of standing water. We've taken on a lot of rain in this area since Saturday. Darren McFarland and Willie Daunic here with you. Elijah Campbell manning things at our game studios. We now bring in Teron Davenport, NFL Nation reporter for ESPN and ESPN.com, covering the Titans. Of course, Talking with TD's his podcast you should check out every week. And, of course, he makes an appearance on all of our live shows throughout the course of the week. And he's presented by FreedomTireGuys.com and Craneworks and RentalWorks. FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, online at FreedomTireGuys.com. Craneworks and RentalWorks, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit Craneworks.com. Teron, no Amani Hooker, no Taylor Lewan, no Jayon Brown. The list goes on and on. No problem. Titans get a huge win out in Seattle. It looked very bleak at halftime, but what a performance in the second half and overtime to secure the win.
Yeah, it was a really good performance. Just seeing them find a way to just lock it down and hold that Seahawks offense in that second half and give their offense an opportunity to come back. It was a really fun game to watch, and I enjoyed it for sure.
What did you see from your vantage point? And we've been talking about a little bit in the first hour. Taylor Lewan, inactive, was out, got hurt in warm-ups. It looks pretty clear that knee just is not, 100%. He's not back from the ACL injury. Do you think this is going to be, and I'm not asking you to play doctor, I get it. I'm just asking for your opinion. Do you think this is something that's going to plague him for a while, that maybe he's not going to be back for a while, that he needs more time?
Yeah, I think it very well may be that, and the reason why I say that is because I kind of watched as he walked off the field, and I saw offensive lineman coach Keith Carter kind of console him, and right before he left to go in the tunnel, he gave him that pat on the shoulder, and it just seemed like that obviously was not going to be a good thing. Now I don't know if it was because they had at that point determined that he won't play on that game, or that they realized that it may be something bigger. But it's interesting because right before all of that happened, he seemed to be moving just fine. So there was just something that he did that tweaked something, because we don't even know if it's the same knee, but he definitely was in pain. So that's something to definitely keep note of.
We had somebody text in on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com in the first hour asking why they haven't seen him in a brace at all this season. What do you make? I mean, both of us have gone through ACL, but we never had to come back to an NFL game. It is kind of like in college, you see a lot of offensive linemen that wear braces on both knees, even if they don't have an injury. I thought it was an interesting question. I don't have a good answer, but what do you make of that question and why we haven't seen him in a knee brace at all?
Yeah, a lot of the guys, they wear that just like as a stabilizer.
Yep.
And I think for Lewan, you got to remember, a lot of what he does is based off of speed. And that big, bulky brace on there, he may have felt like it would slow him down. And I can't say that if he went through the pregame warm-up with a brace on, he wouldn't have gotten hurt. But I definitely, I get it, because that's something that I look for, on Bud Dupree. I look for that on A.J. Brown, not necessarily a brace, but for A.J., just that band, and I take note of those things. But I don't think that Lewan wanted to wear that, just like I said, from a speed perspective.
You're out in Seattle. You got to take in yesterday and experience that. It is good to see fans back in the stands, and it's affecting these games. There's no doubt about it. You were out there at Lumen Field, and it looked like it affected Josh Reynolds on that play. How difficult was it to hear things, and how much do you think that crowd played a factor into, at times, helping Seattle and made things difficult for the Titans?
Yeah, there were a couple. There was a false start. I think it really, there were opportunities where the Titans could have run a play with the Seahawks not having all their guys on the field or not having their guys in position, but they would go through and they would check the play, and you literally saw the relay go down the offensive line and then to Chester Rogers in the slot and then to the receivers on the outside. That was pretty interesting watching that. And I think it may have affected their ability to go tempo if they wanted to do that, but this is one of the weeks where they didn't have to do it. That sense of urgency was just created, period, because they understood the situation that they had as far as being in a hostile environment and just having to circle up and do what they did.
Michael Pruitt was a big part of their success yesterday. Who would have thunk it? I don't think any of us were predicting that. Not only just, not just his performance, 3 catches, 43 yards, but just his attitude, right? Just what he brought to the table. He was drawing penalties. He was clearly in the heads of the defenders for Seattle. I thought he played an exceptional game.
Yeah, he brought that attitude that they needed, and it just all started with that Derrick Henry run, and at the end of the play, he kind of drove Jamal Adams down as he got up, and Adams took offense, and that's the one thing, when you have players who are very emotional, like Jamal Adams, I think you could play that against them, and it was almost like that's what Pruitt did. And a couple plays later, he beat Adams. He caught a pass, and then Adams tried to tackle him, and he kind of bounced off the tackle, but they ruled him down, and it definitely worked for him. And he provided that spark, that edge. It was nothing personal. It's just that's sometimes what happens in football. I mean, that's exactly what he said. So I believe he did provide a spark. He did give them a jolt when they really needed it.
If they would have lost that game in overtime, Teron, you can imagine what today's show would have been like. It would have been full of a lot of venom from Titans fans, and I think it would have been absolutely warranted. I think that crew had an awful day at the office yesterday. Terrible. I thought there were some really, really horrendous calls against the Titans. The safety, it should have been a safety. The Julio Jones, in my opinion, should have been a touchdown. They got a horrible spot. I mean, the list goes on and on. Where are you on? You're there. Did you believe that Julio Jones is a touchdown? Did you believe that should have been a call to safety? What side of the fence are you on some of those calls?
Yeah, I think that terrible spot was that was bad. Then the safety, I'm not sure exactly how you could determine that his forward momentum did stop outside of the end zone. And then the touchdown, see, that's the thing that really confused me, because I always thought that you tap your toes, and if you tap your toes, you're in. I never heard of anybody tapping their toes and their heel never touching out of bounds. Unless there's a bunch of ballerinas walking around that I don't know about. But I don't understand how you could tap your toes and not have your heel go out of bounds. Eventually the rest of your foot has to go down. And looking at some of those still shots, it was almost like his heel did come down in bounds. I don't understand, at what point are we going to be able to know what's a catch and what is not? That one really looked like a catch to me, but they apparently felt it wasn't. I asked Mike Vrabel about that, and he talked about a new crew being there in New York, and that was the group that was communicated with, and it was determined to not be a touchdown, which that one baffled me.
Yeah. I said, you're right, I was with you on the roll. Never heard that before. But just pushing that aside, I mean, just not even with that in play. The call on the field was a touchdown. I don't know what angle they had or what view they got or what picture they got, because like you said, there's still shots out there that were circulating, and I still believe that even with that, his heel, his shoe, nothing touched the paint, in my opinion. There was nothing that showed me that you could 100% tell one way or the other whether his shoe was touching the paint or not.
Yeah, and that's what is supposed to go into a play being overturned. So that being so questionable and so 60-40, 50-50, I don't think there's any way it should have been overturned. I just don't.
You played the game, TD. What did you make also? And look, this one went in the Titans' favor, and as I tweeted out during the course of the game, well, that's one of many makeup calls, in my opinion. They owe the Titans. I didn't like the taunting call. I don't know. You played it. What do you make of it? It's an emotional game. Like, what do you want him to be? I mean, so if he turns away and does it, it's okay, but because he looked his direction, it's a taunting call? I just thought it was a weak call. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, it is an emotional game, but this is one of the cases of they said that this was something they were going to crack down on. They said it before the season started. So you have to understand that and know, okay, yeah, I do want to, especially in that situation, the cornerback and receiver dynamic it's like Tom and Jerry, right? You're always fighting, and you're always wanting to get at each other, but that's one of those times where you have to understand, and it's hard. Like, it's easy for me to sit here and say it, but it's hard when you're in the middle of the game and you have those emotions to not do it. But that's what they're calling. That's it. I mean, they're focusing on that for whatever reason. That's what they're focusing on. So knowing that, you got to avoid it.
Talking with TD, Teron Davenport, recapping a big Titans win over the Seahawks. Teron, let's go through a couple of defensive things. I thought, number one, you have to commend them for more or less just completely taking away the Seahawks running game. I like, if that's something that they can do somewhat consistently, that's a big upgrade from last year.
Yeah, they were definitely able to do that, and that made things a little more difficult for the offense, of course. So you're right. I think that just comes down to really good play up front. You know, Nico Autry, Jeffrey Simmons, Laurel Murchison had a really good game, and Tierra Tart as well. That front, those guys were doing what they needed to do as far as clogging things up and making it tough to run.
No question. They had the one draw play that hurt them, but other than that, basically nothing given up by Chris Carson. Now, we know that there were some big breakdowns in the secondary. Needless to say, those ones stick out like a big eyesore, but I thought Christian Fulton played a really good game.
Yeah, Christian Fulton is definitely, at this point, after 2 games, their most consistent defender in the backfield and the secondary there. And he did play a good game, and you're seeing that aggressiveness. You're seeing that man-covered ability that he has, and I thought it was really good how he matched up with Metcalf. And I'm not just talking about coverage. Even just in going against the run, he drew 2 holding calls from Metcalf. And if you look at the two, you know, it's like twins, right? Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. There's a clear size mismatch, but he accepted that challenge, and he aggressively accepted it. So Christian Fulton, he's shown why he was a second-round pick, and in my opinion, you know, I had him as a top 5 corner coming out.
That is, when you're looking at signs, is the defense better? You keep going down this checklist of things that you like because they've built on it. The pass rush, clearly better. Like you said, Autry looked like he took a big step forward after the rust of it. You know, put him on the list of guys that we didn't see much of during the preseason. But I like what they're getting with the push in the middle from Simmons and Autry, and then Landry and Dupree on the outside. It's fairly consistent there.
Yeah, it is consistent. It is consistent. And one thing that I have to mention is David Long, and that guy continues to be a player. He's someone that was a factor against the run as well. I forget to mention him. But, yeah, when you look at that pass rush, you know, you got Dupree also getting pressure. You know, there was one of his bull rushes actually was the reason why Autry and Simmons were able to combine on a sack. So definitely it's all layered, it's tiered, and that's coming together for them. I want to see what happens once they start sending some of their DBs and those type of things as well. But right now, those guys up front are getting it done. Well, at least last week they did.
Yeah, and they faced 2 really good offenses. But this is the NFL. You're going to face good offenses. You're going to give up some points somewhere in here, especially when you're facing Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray. So let's go now to maybe a big question mark defensively, and that is with Amani Hooker out, the safety situation. Do you think it can get better as these guys, just are out there more, learning each other, things like that? Because it clearly looked like, at least to me, that McDougal struggled some.
Yeah, absolutely. But the good thing for the Titans is that Dane Cruikshank was active and available, and that's really been the main thing with him. It's not his ability to play the game; it's his availability. That's really what it comes down to. You have to be available, and he hasn't been. So when they made the switch and they put him in there, they started to use him in a little more of a dime look, and he was essentially playing linebacker. And that's something that I've said they needed to go to for a while now, and you saw him just kind of stabilize things. So that's where the help at safety is going to come. He and Kevin Byard were together in the safety tandem a lot. And I think it was 34 snaps Cruikshank played. It was something like that, which was a pretty good amount considering he wasn't even in the mix last week. So they definitely made a change there. And McDougal, on the one touchdown, on Tyler Lockett's touchdown, he got caught flat-footed, and, Lockett was able to. Now, granted, Tyler Lockett, that's not somebody, I wouldn't want to cover him one-on-one, especially in that situation right there. And it's tough when you get that matchup, but that's what happened. He got caught flat-footed, and Lockett was able to put a move on him, and next thing you know, it was a long touchdown. So, yeah, I think Cruikshank coming in, that's going to help them.
Things to work with. Now, I know you watched Elijah Molden closely even before the Titans drafted him. Why is he struggling right now? Or is this just, hey, it's a rookie, he's been thrown in there, you're going to get exploited some. But where do they go from here with him?
Yeah, I think it's a play here and a play there that he's coming up short. And unfortunately for him, on those plays, they're big chunk plays for the opposing team or a score. And you have that long catch that Lockett was able to make, and he was able to get behind Molden. And once again, it's tough to cover Tyler Lockett in the open field. So now, you got to drift back and pick him up on that crosser, and that was the issue there. He did come up and make a couple nice plays against the run, but it's a learning experience, and he's just going to have to continue to develop. And in the meantime, right, when you got big plays being given up, you got to bring somebody else in, and they brought in Chris Jackson, but then you had the communication mishap with he and Christian Fulton on Freddie Swain's 68-yard touchdown. So it's a group, and they'll just have to continue to get better as a unit. But Molden himself, he'll continue to develop. I'm not down on him. Obviously, you don't want to give up some of the plays that he did, but I'm not going to say he played terribly.
Have you ever seen a play that wide open in the NFL where the defender didn't fall down? I'm not sure I have. Like, that's something you see in college, not in the NFL.
Yeah,
Holy
you see
moly.
those sometimes. You see those, and it really is one of those things where, like Christian Fulton said after the game, they didn't communicate. And you could tell that they weren't on the same page. And I've seen that happen, right, where both guys will jump the route underneath and there's a route over top. That's what it's designed to do to make them confused like that.
Let's go to the other side of the ball, Teron, for a couple. I thought it was really interesting. It looked like you have a lot you're dealing with on the offensive line, as we've talked about. But I give Todd Downing a lot of credit for coming up with the formula to stabilize things. And it looked to me like they really went heavy tight end. Even without Ferkser, they used the three big guys, Hudson, Swaim, and Michael Pruitt. And that's sort of what helped the pass protection, and it helped get Derrick Henry going eventually.
Yeah, you kind of had to do it because you got Saffold out as well, and Aaron Brewer came in, and he helped stabilize things. So you definitely have to have that tight end there to help out. Now, there were a few plays where that left side was getting destroyed, and Swaim was over there to help out, and he was getting destroyed. And I think Hudson on another one as well. So it's going to really require extra, not design, but attention to the pass rush fortunately for the Titans, going this week against the Colts, most of their stuff comes from the interior part of it. So they should be okay as far as that's concerned. But I just, Buckner going against Brewer, when they are in those situations, that's going to be a tough matchup. But we'll see how Brewer can rise to the occasion.
I also think they really hit on using Henry as a receiver, even McNichols some. I thought that was good recognition by Todd Downing that, hey, here's something that maybe the other team isn't accounting for very much that we can use. And it was key plays at key times there on that particular thing.
Well, there were a couple screens that he called, and that was good. And that's something that I felt in week one might have been a good idea. And it's always good to do that against a defense that's attacking and getting pressure. And that's what they were getting on Ryan Tannehill once again. But those screens kind of takes advantage of that. And then also Derrick Henry, his 6 receptions, that was a career high. And he said that it was just about making himself available to Tannehill. And there were times where they went out empty, and then they had Derrick Henry run some routes out of the backfield. And, in my opinion, while we're talking about Henry, I think this was his most complete game as a pro. Obviously, the rushing yards were there, but you saw him, as I said, the 6 career receptions, 55 yards. But then in pass pro, I was impressed 2 or 3 times. He picked up Jamal Adams, who was coming on a blitz, and it led to big plays for the Titans. And that pickup right there, it gave him more time. And for Henry, that's really good because these are 2 things that are absolutely mandatory to have in your toolbox if you want to be on the field in 3rd and long situations, which we know that if there's anything that's been his kryptonite, that has been the kryptonite, him having to come out on those situations.
It's kept him from getting running back of the year or best running back in the game status hands down. That's the one thing you say. He's not on the field a lot in 3rd down, but he's making strides there. Last thing, Teron, we saw Julio Jones take a big step forward. He looked like the guy. That's how this was supposed to go, right? He made some big plays, and he was, an eyelash from having another huge play or 2 there. But Josh Reynolds still not really finding his role. I saw a lot come together yesterday, but he's still a guy. He was in there, but not really utilized as a target. He had the one mental mistake where he starts going forward well before the ball is snapped, CFL style. But is that just rust? Do you think there's better things coming for him? Because right now he's getting beat out by Chester Rogers. Clearly, Rogers is the more trusted target in terms of the passing game.
And Rogers showed why. Well, he did have the one drop, but they kind of played ping pong with him on another one after Brown and Jones had a drop each. So yeah, Rogers is consistent. That's what it's been for him this whole training camp and so far this season. And with Reynolds, I really think it's just a matter of just getting him acclimated into the system. Obviously, you did have that lapse, and then he kind of drifted up the field, and I think that was a part of going on the silent count, because his back was to the ball, as he was going in motion, and you can't really see the ball being snapped, so that was tough for him. They still got to figure out a way to get him involved, and I think that's just something we're going to have to see how that whole situation matures. But just real quick on Tannehill and Jones, that is something that's developed, and I wrote about that. And I asked Tannehill just about how things are coming along, and he pointed to that touchdown and also that 3rd down where it was 3rd and 18, and Jones picked up 15 yards. And those were both catches that, he called them trust throws. And he said seeing that, it makes you want to go back to him in those type of situations in the future. So expect to see that continue to develop, and I think that's going to be a good thing for that offense.
Certainly built cohesiveness there, and you feel like there's even more layers that are to come here. And that's a good sign. That is a good sign.
By the way, after Randy Bullock's performance yesterday, you don't have to worry about Greg Joseph coming back. Because he had a rough day at the office, Greg Joseph. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't even see. Yeah. No, I didn't see.
You want to hear it, Teron? Because I know you were busy covering the Titans and the Seahawks. Elijah, if you could let Tehran hear Greg Joseph, how the
last
day
play of
ended
the game.
for him. Last play
for the
of
win.
the game. This is the Vikings broadcast. It's something.
For the win. Last play of the game.
It's gone! No, he missed it. Good. Are you kidding me? He missed it right.
He missed it right.
Oh, my heavens.
Whoops. By the way, it was like a 36-yarder straight up the middle.
Oof.
Yeah. They're like, God! Oh, no, he missed it.
That's atrocious.
Cardinals are 2-0.
That's how the Cardinals had that 1-point victory. Minnesota missed a chip shot field goal. It was Greg Joseph. Yikes.
Well, Tehran, great stuff. Enjoyed the coverage, and we'll talk to you throughout the week as get ready for this big, big game on Sunday with a desperate Colts team that has issues at quarterback.
Safe travels back, man.
Oh, I'm back. Oh,
you're back.
Oh, what, did you take the red eye last night, or what's the deal?
Wow.
Yeah, did the red eye, and I'm about to take myself a nap before Coach Rabel goes at 2 o'clock, and, yeah, we're going to figure this out.
Go get a nap. All right, Tehran, thanks, man.
All right, Tehran Davenport, ESPN. Of course, talking with TD, the podcast, always great coverage of the Titans throughout the week, and then, of course, after the game. We love talking to him on Mondays at 11. Darren, you've got a little word from Cool Springs, MD.
That is impressive that he's back already. Really impressive.
It's red eye, man. I've been there. It is not easy.
No, it's
the next day is rough.
I do want to talk to you about my friends at Cool Springs MD. They're my friends because I've been going there for years, and they've been helping me for years become healthier and happier. And who doesn't want a better quality of life? I know I do. And as we age, it gets tougher. But, boy, do they do a lot of things under one roof. They've got a state-of-the-art facility out there in Cool Springs at 1642 Westgate Circle, and they've got a very experienced staff that can help you in a variety of things. Plus, Dr. Jeffrey Lodge, the board-certified physician, his wife Daphne, the registered nurse, they could help you with weight loss management. They take that very important, or they think it's very important, and they take it seriously because it's hard, right, as adults to – keep off those unwanted pounds. Well, they got programs and products and people that can get you back on track and headed in the right direction ASAP. Rejuvenation, your appearance is important. I know it's important to me, and it gets tougher as we age. Things happen, maybe that, never seen happen before. Well, they can sit down with you and talk about PRP, hair removal, Botox. They do it all. And finally, hormone therapy. Maybe you've been feeling a little bit off lately. Get your levels checked. Maybe they've dipped. Maybe they've dipped to an all-time low. That does happen as we age, and that can affect you in a lot of areas, whether it's your drive, your energy, mood swings, or all of the above. And they'll be more than happy to discuss BHRT, testosterone, or estrogen with you. They do it all. If you need to schedule an appointment or a consultation, pick up the phone and dial this number, 615-283-7291. That's 283-7291. Or you can learn everything about them by going to their website, CoolSpringsMD.com.
Hang out with us every weekday starting at 6 a.m. with Robbie and Rexroad.
I really am. You gotta be. I mean, I just totally am. You've gotta be.
Darren, Daunic, and Chase from 10 to 2.
Good participation.
We have a system now, thank goodness.
I had a funny moment happen.
And Stillman and Company from 2 to 6.
I have a story.
Get a cupcake.
Watch live on Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube. Tune in anytime on the Game Nashville app or your home speaker. This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
It's soccer season in Tennessee. You want goals?
He takes it inside, outside, right foot, great finish! What a goal!
You want saves?
Lifted high, into the hands of Joe Willis. He makes the catch.
You want big drama?
Hooked in, it headed in! Delirium! It's Yonder Cadiz!
Nashville SC are back at home Wednesday, September 29th versus Orlando City SC. The action kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSC.com.
How'd you like that?
Cheers to you, girl. I know you're excited about the new job.
Oh, thanks so much.
Hey, is that my engagement ring you're wearing?
Don't be silly. Oh, wow. They are identical. How did that happen?
Don't tell me. He went to jail.
Yeah, yours too, I guess. Wow.
Don't make her settle for one of those cookie cutter rings from the big corporate chain jewelry stores. At Genesis Diamonds, you can get her a stunning one-of-a-kind designer ring, one that's as unique as she is. Genesis has over 4,000 handcrafted rings from world-class designers like Tacori, Viraggio, Henry Dossi, and others. These are designers that you'll never see in one of those mega corporate stores, but we have them starting at under $1,000. So ladies, don't settle for the ordinary, for a ring that will be yours and yours alone. Make sure he goes to
Genesis Diamonds.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Got chronic joint pain? Not having success with steroids, but trying to avoid surgery? Well, thankfully, there's a better way. And now it's available here from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Hey, Willie Daunic here. I'm talking about new therapies. Advanced, all-natural, regenerative treatments that can not only just give you relief, but can also restore and repair damaged tissue, so you can have lasting relief. If you've got joint pain due to arthritis, knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, don't just think the old ways of dealing with pain are the only ways. You need to learn more about these new biologic therapy solutions. Call now for a free consultation. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. These remarkable new treatments increase mobility, decrease pain, and help restore tissue. They actually encourage your body to heal itself. Call now and learn more about these restorative, regenerative, and revolutionary alternatives. Don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
312 Pizza Company is family-owned and operated, bringing you a slice of Chicago to Nashville. 312 Pizza Company specializes in deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, and all things Chicago style. And always made from scratch using secret family recipes passed down generation to generation. 312 Pizza is open 7 days a week and located in Germantown with dine-in, takeout, and curbside available. Call 615-730-7888 to order 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and Craneworks and Rental Works, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit Craneworks.com. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Jordan Rogers, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Did you ever consider going for two at the end of the?
You know what? You always go back and forth, and we've been through there before, and I just felt like the way that the defense was playing. I felt like the way we just decided early on, that was what we were going to do as far as kicking it.
You can join us in partnering with Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light the Night. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer through hope, research, and support for patients and families. Through this inspirational nationwide movement, we're trying to raise awareness and funding for groundbreaking research and treatment options to eliminate cancer. Nashville's Light the Night will be virtual and take place on November 4th. Learn more at lightthenight.org/TN. Back here on Darren, Daunic, and Chase, presented by Quration CBD. Quration CBD products curated for life. Darren McFarland and Willie Daunic here with you. Elijah Campbell manning things at our game studios. And you heard Mike Vrabel. Did you ever, Jim Wyatt asked him, did you ever consider going for two in that spot? And he said, yeah, we've been down that road before. They have. And it hasn't worked out well for them. The one that comes to mind would be London. Right? It was the London Chargers game.
It was.
Did not.
And they missed it.
That bridge fell down, didn't it?
It did, but I thought it was a great question because I was thinking it as they were approaching the goal line. I was thinking, do you do it? Like you want to be thinking as a fan or a media person that's going to be talking about it, you want to think on the front end. You don't want to have hindsight. Well, you go the opposite of what happens, right? Oh, they should have, if it doesn't work. So I'm trying to think and consider what Mike Vrabel was considering. And you heard him say it there. I made up my mind, and he gave the reasons why. I thought he actually did a really good job of answering the question. He didn't blow it off. He actually went through his reasoning, and I can see it. the defense was playing better. Other than the busted coverage, the defense had really started to come up with some things that were giving the Seahawks a lot of trouble. And so he felt like I can get some stops. They also had only been on the field for about 20 minutes. The end time of possession ends up 42-33 to 22-42. Now, remember last year, as much as they're getting a 2,000-yard season from Derrick Henry, they really didn't control the ball very much because the defense kept giving those first down after first down. They just couldn't get off the field. But this defense, they got a 3-and-out to start the game. Can you believe that? Like things were happening on defense. I was like, you're getting stops in short yardage. You're getting a pass rush. You actually got 3 sacks. There were some things to like about the defense. Despite the big busted plays, that's the one thing that you're like, well, we got to get that fixed. But I can see how Mike Vrabel was saying, okay, I feel like I can get a stop on D. I like my chances in the overtime because the offense is starting to really take over the game. The Seahawks defense has got to be a little gassed. So I think it's sound logic, which, of course, ends up working. But I think I'd be sitting here today going, it was sound logic even if they had lost the game. Now, Elijah disagrees, right? Elijah, you're saying you thought they should have gone for 2.
Oh, I'm always going for 2 in that situation. If I have an offense that I trust and a running back I can trust to get 2 yards, if you ask me which situation I would rather have, 2 yards to win the game or a coin toss that might give Russell Wilson the ball to take over and win the game from there, I'm going to trust my guys to be able to, on the offensive side of the ball, to go ahead and make that play, especially if I didn't know what I'm getting from my kicker either. Now that
was a good point that I hadn't thought of because at that point, Randy Bullock had missed his last kick, right? And he does have to kick the extra point, which is, as we know, not a gimme. How big was Seattle's missed extra point?
Yep.
That is something we shouldn't forget. They missed one, which allowed them to kick the tie. So, Darren, break the tie. So I'm okay with Vrabel's decision. Elijah says go for 2. What do you say?
Well, I'm going to tell you why it was the right decision. There's 2 reasons why. One, they've done this before, and it didn't work in their favor. Okay, it's not gone their way. They've been down this road before. And if you remember, it was early on in Mike Vrabel's tenure as a coach, and I said, look, man, you've got to take off the player hat. You're no longer a player. You're now a head coach. You've got to start thinking like a head coach. So I think we've watched him, and we've talked about how he really has morphed and changed, and he's grown into the role. I think he had a lot of players still in him early on when he was the head coach, and especially in that first year. And I was like, man, you've got to start thinking like a head coach and not a player. You're no longer a player. Like players always want to go for it.
Exactly.
So I like the fact that he's thinking like a head coach now. He's not thinking like a player. And so I applaud that move. It was the right move. Here's the other reason. There's only 3 things that can happen. If they go to overtime, there's only 3 outcomes, and 2 of them are in the Titans' favor. A win, a tie. The only thing that goes against them is a loss. Yes, a tie. A tie
I can't believe you're talking about a tie.
A tie works in your favor. Remember, there's only 10-minute overtime. A tie actually works in your favor. It's not a loss. It actually helps you in the standings. It does not hurt you. So, yes, as much as I despise ties, there's 3 options in overtime, and 2 of them work in your favor.
Be still my heart. Darren is talking about the virtues of a tie.
I know. It's crazy.
But I see what you're saying, especially knowing that the Colts have lost. And this is a real tough one here, to be able to say you got, as we use in hockey, you got a point in Seattle on the road. Like you get a point in Colorado this year if you're the Predators. You're like, okay, it's not the worst thing.
Well, we've seen this. Yes, we've seen this work in the NFL because of the 10-minute overtime. Because we've seen, unfortunately, it's not a shocker to see ties. Remember when Donovan McNabb was like, I didn't even know we could tie in this league.
Especially since they went to the 10-minute overtime and not 15. It's much more likely that time becomes a factor.
But that tie has actually helped teams.
It has.
When it comes to the standings, it's helped them because the other team had that extra loss and they had the tie. And so, therefore, it's worked in their favor. So I think it was absolutely the right call. It's still weird to hear, and I agree with him. when he says, the way the defense was playing, as much as we've talked about the defense,
I know,
and rarely is any of it good, but you brought up a great point. The time of possession was so lopsided in the Titans' favor. I mean, they had the ball over 42 minutes for the game of 60.
They ran 83 plays to 52 for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
That is astounding.
Seattle only put 6 points on the board in the second half. That's it. Remember, they had 24 at half. They only put up 6 in the second half, and they were both in the fourth quarter. So I agree with Mike Vrabel. Things were going their way. The defense was playing well. They had been wearing down Seattle's defense. Look, you're down 24-9. It looked very bleak in the first half. The first half was not a good half. They changed things around the second half, so all the momentum is going your way in the second half. That is just not the spot to be cute. It's just not. Everything's going your way on the road. Tie it up and take your chances.
But if Randy Bullock shanks the kick the way he did the kick before that, then we are roasting him for not giving the ball to
then we know what the story.
Couldn't be stopped that entire quarter.
It
worked out here, but if he misses that kick, it's why are you trusting a kicker who this is the 53rd one that Mike Vrabel said, jokingly, that they brought in the last couple of years.
And he had made enough. I think he had made enough kicks on the day to feel pretty good about the extra point, but I do think that's an interesting thing to consider, and it's something he should have considered. I like this, though. I think this is also something we need to be thinking going forward, that it's not a philosophy of coaches who love to go for 2 or coaches that never go for 2. You do have to consider the circumstances. Do I have the horses to win in overtime? What does an overtime look like if we win the toss or lose the toss? Or is my team completely spent and I've just got to take my one shot here? I think he considered, what does an overtime look like? I like my chances, so let's kick it.
We were talking about
so
that
you don't
too,
make the same decision every time. You make the decision based on what is happening in that particular game.
We were talking about that during the break too, Willie. It was if I don't have Derrick Henry in that backfield, or I don't have an offense with Tannehill and Julio and A.J. Brown,
Well, let's take Marcus Mariota as your quarterback in London, right? And you didn't like your chances of getting a stop on Phillip Rivers. So I thought at the time it was, very debatable, as we debated a lot the next day.
And at that time too, the kicker and defense was a lot more of a sure thing than it would have been yesterday. So in that situation, I probably wouldn't have. But yesterday, especially the way Derrick Henry was running the ball too, it had been really hard not to look at that and be like, 2 yards? That man?
Elijah, what would have happened if he would have missed? They would have today. Mike Vrabel would have been saying, "Ryan Santoso, come on down."
But then you have a loss in the column when you could have give the ball to hands Derrick Henry. In that situation, it's who do I trust more? And I would have trusted, that offense to get 2 yards in a moment where you really, really needed it.
Yep. We will come back. All you have to do is tell us what you know. It's open-ended. We'll have a good prize attached to it. Give us a call and tell us what you know on the other side. 615-737-1025. That's next.
Henry at the 5. Can he get in? He will! What a run! And a touchdown!
King Henry and the Titans orchestrate a comeback win in Seattle.
It is good! Randy Bullock delivers!
We're reacting all day to the Titans' first win of the season on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Scattered showers will continue with us once again today. A flash flood watch remains in effect until 7 p.m. Showers will taper off this evening.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Fiero Tequila Habanero is for those who enjoy the flavor of spice, naturally infused with fresh, vine-ripened peppers from farmers in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Fiero Tequila Habanero is unapologetically the spiciest infused tequila available in the U.S. The hand-picked habaneros provide a delicious kick to the smooth Blanco tequila. It's a flavor punch that's perfect as a shot or a spicy way to spice up your hard seltzer, or perfect for a fiery cocktail. Available at fine liquor stores and your favorite drinking establishments. Fiero Tequila, the world belongs to the brave.
No one outfits golfers better than Edwin Watts Golf Shops.
We've been fitting golfers since 1968. Utilizing cutting-edge fitting technology, we'll analyze your swing and our Foresight launch monitors and fit you with the perfect club, pair of shoes, the latest golf apparel, golf balls, bags, and more. So come by today for your complete custom fitting. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Do you have a VA or FHA home loan? You gotta listen to this important update from Loan Pronto. You can refi now and snag a new rate in the low twos. Lower your house payment big time. Hey, it's Willie Daunic, and wait, it gets even better. With Loan Pronto, you can do this with no appraisal, no income documentation, and no cash due at signing. Who else does this? VA and FHA mortgage rates have come down a lot. You need to act now. Loan Pronto specializes in VA and FHA streamline loan. They can even cover all your closing costs, and you will love their all-digital, no-hassle process. Call Loan Pronto now or go to loanpronto.com. They also have options where VA homeowners can refinance and get cash out of your home's equity, up to 100% of its value. Pay off credit cards or do that home improvement project. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. VA and FHA loans made simple. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans eligible for zero-cost refi.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and let me tell you about my friends at Curation CBD. If you're like me and have aches and pains all over your body and you've been searching for a solution, well, I've got it. It's Curation CBD. Curation means healing, and that right there says it all. Curation is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here from Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sell, Curation is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use for athletes and for pets, too. Order yours now at CurationCompany.com. Curation CBD, curated for life.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Craneworks is ready to help lift Nashville. As the Southeast's most trusted name in crane and equipment rental for over 30 years, Craneworks offers certified operators to make sure the job is done right. Rentalworks has a diverse fleet of equipment to assist in any project, big or small. From forklifts to carry deck cranes, they have it all. When it's time for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project, call Craneworks. Visit craneworks.com.
Robbie Stanley.
That size and that speed just doesn't grow on trees. That could be something that you could really turn into.
Joe Rexrode.
Just hold out and somebody will call in the bad signal.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. If you've missed any of today's show, just search Darren, Daunic, and Chase on Apple, Spotify, or on your favorite podcast platform. Some things you just know.
I have to know. Do you think everybody knows?
When you know, you just know. It's time to set the record straight. Join the fun on This Is What I Know with Darren, Daunic, and Chase.
We do. We want to know what you know. It's that simple. Open canvas. Take it however you want. 615-737-1025. That's our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll head east. We'll talk to Vince Ferrara coming up in about 10 minutes or so. Pair of tickets to see Modest Mouse at Ascend Amphitheater on October 4th. That's what's on the line for the best. This is what I know. Willie, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I'll start. I know about 99% of what we're going to talk about today is the pigskin, football, but I do want to give a shout-out. This is what I know. Mookie Betts continues to be 100% class all the time. He had another chapter yesterday to show us why. I sent you guys the clip. He's playing in Cincinnati yesterday, and a guy for the Reds hits his first major league hit, which happens to be a home run. The Dodgers won the game. Unfortunately for Elijah, the Reds' wild card chances are slipping away. But Mookie Betts has the presence of mind playing right field to realize that this is a very special hit. And as the road player goes up to the wall and gets the fans' attention and says, "Hey, I need that ball." Now you can imagine being the home fan, that the fan, and I give the fan a lot of credit too, he could have just said, I'm not giving you the ball. But the fan understood. Mookie made it clear, hey, this is this guy's first home run. Can we get the ball? He gets the ball, throws it in there, and then realizes, hey, that fan just gave up something pretty cool. Some people go a whole lifetime, never get a ball at a game. And so he runs a bat out to the fan and gives him the bat. And so he goes, is this a fair trade? And the guy's like, I'm good, man. I'm good. So it was a really nice move by Mookie Betts. The Reds probably would have figured out a way to get that ball, but I thought that was just a really cool move by a player. Just one of the reasons why we love the Nashvilleian.
No doubt about it. This is what I know. Yesterday's Titans game, this is according to Mark Benda, News Channel 5, 29.4 rating. A 29.4 rating. It's the highest rating for a Titans game in the month of September in a decade. So that is, by the way, good number.
Expectations.
Yep.
Hyped up season, living up to it. That was a great football game.
29.4 rating. Highest rating for a Titans game in the month of September in 10 years. This is what else I know. I'm just going to go on and admit it. I turned away last night because I thought the Chiefs were going to win. I totally bagged it because I've been watching almost the entire game. I watched so much.
It was a 9-hour. If you wanted it, it was a rainy day. And 9 hours was there for you, and I was probably like 8.5. I might have ducked away for just a couple minutes here and there for a
thought
jog,
it was in the
but
bag.
I was a jog.
And I was like, what?
The
Ravens came back and won?
I don't bet, but I would have bet a lot.
Oh my
that
gosh.
Kansas City was going to go down and get the game-winning field goal. And it was just a matter, and Al Michaels and Chris Collins were set it up. They were saying it the right way. The Chiefs were so confident it was not, are we going to get in range? It was, let's get in range so that we can run the clock out and not give the ball back to Lamar Jackson. That's how confident they were. It wasn't a matter of whether they were going to kick the field goal. And then all of a sudden, boom, fumble.
Unbelievable. All right, let's find out what the listeners know. Let's start things off with Nate. Nate, what do you know?
This is what I know, fellas. We all know that the NFL has some pretty ridiculous rules, but I have figured out another one. When a review comes from the officials or the booth under 2 minutes, the team has to use a timeout to avoid a 10-second runoff.
Yep.
It's not either team's fault the officials aren't perfect, which we found out yesterday during the Titans game. So why are they being punished to use a timeout to stop the 10-second runoff? That makes no sense to me.
It's a good thing that's why you save your timeouts. That's why it's so important to have those at the end.
No doubt.
But what's that rule for?
It's because the clock would have kept running. That's why they have the 10-second runoff. Had they not had to stop for the review, the clock would have run. It would have kept running.
I mean, I get it if it's like a challenge or, the offensive penalty. I get the 10-second runoff there. But when the officials or the booth is initiating the review, that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, I know. I see what you're saying. You're right.
We're with you, man. We're with you. It doesn't make any sense.
But the reason is because you would have to the clock would have kept running. So in retrospect, there would be less time on the clock. It's one of the trickiest things about the review, but I get it. It's not perfect.
Let's go to Eric. Eric, what do you know?
This is what I know.
Oh, yeah.
Love the delivery. Love it.
Yes. Can we now unequivocally say that Adam Gase is a rotten NFL coach and should never get another NFL head coaching job with the way Ryan Tannehill's played for the Titans? And now, even though it's early, the way Sam Darnold has played for the Carolina Panthers,
Mr. Darnold.
If they keep playing the way they keep playing this way, I think has a shot to make the playoffs. Y'all take care.
All right, thank you.
Eric, I'm glad you said that because I am feeling good about my Panthers pick to make the playoffs. I'm not feeling good about some of the stuff that I did, but that one's looking good.
I did not have the Panthers. No way, hell. Yes, you can throw Adam Gase in the same category as Ken Wisenhunt. They will never be head coaches again. Let's go to Michael. Michael, what do you know?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. It's funny that
mentioned earlier about the ratings that the Titans-Seahawks game got, because this is what I know. The announcing crew for that game almost rivals how horrible Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are, in my opinion, at announcing football games. Because there were a few plays during that game that they were calling, and I just wanted to turn the TV off because it was so bad. I wanted to turn on mute real quick because I could not stand to listen to them comment over the game. The one specifically that I had in mind was when it was 3rd and 16 late in the fourth. Not late in the fourth, but sometime in the fourth quarter. Tannehill had just gotten sacked by that Woods guy. And 3rd and 16, he throws the ball to Julio. Julio gets about 15 yards for he just short of the fourth down. And like 3 Seahawks all come in and tackle him. And one of the announcers just made some comment that, oh, well, if Julio had tried to just spin out real quick, maybe he could have gotten the first down there. It's just like, are you not watching the game? There are 3 people all around Julio. There's nothing he could have possibly done with how Tannehill threw the ball to him to possibly get that extra yard that we needed to get the first down. So that's what I know. That's kind of a little preview of, I guess, what will be on my list for the end of the week. But I could not stand the announcers yesterday.
Okay.
Andrew Catalon and
Michael,
James Lofton. Honestly, it's not their number one team. To me, for 2 teams that good, I would have thought it would have been a higher ranked team, but I thought they were okay. That was just me.
No, I'm with you on I thought they were going to get for a game like that in the afternoon. I thought they were going to get a better team too. Let's go to Doug. Doug, what do you know?
This is what I know, fellas, and I'm saying it, and everybody else knows it. I said it yesterday in a text, and I'll say it live today. We tend to forget, but if Keith Bullock is known as Mr. Monday Night, then Randy Bullock is now known as Mr. SSS, Mr. Sunday in Seattle in September.
Okay.
That's what I.
Okay.
Thank you, Doug.
Okay. So we're covered. Next time they play Sunday in Seattle in September. Okay.
Mr.
That will be in 2028, I guess.
Never thought I would hear that. Anything attached to Randy Bullock, especially Mr. SSS. Wow. That's good, though. Good stuff as always, Doug. Let's go to Adam. Adam, what do you know?
Yeah, so I don't think you guys are going to like it, man, just knowing these topics right here. But this is what I know, man. I don't trust Taylor Lewan anymore at all. And I also know that it's a bad look yesterday. I hope he's not hurt, but it's a bad look. You get your butt whooped the first week. You text, you're a loudmouth, and then something in pregame that I've looked at 100 times and can't tell. It just doesn't look good, man. I don't trust him. We're paying him way too much money for him not to be out there. Like I said, if he got hurt, I'm sorry, but it doesn't look good. That's for sure.
Okay, thank you. I'm pretty sure he's hurt. Pretty sure
he's
wanted
hurt.
to be out there. He's definitely hurt. I don't think he's been healthy this whole time. Not to make excuses for him. Let's get one more in. Steven, what do you know?
Hey guys, I think what I know this week is in the Randy Bullock biopic, Randy Bullock is going to be played by Randy Quaid. This is what I know.
Thank you.
Oh,
Randy.
man.
Or Steven.
Being the Titans kicker, boy, you are in the spotlight. This is a fun gig. Wow.
All right, we will come back. They didn't need a kicker in Knoxville on Saturday with Tennessee Tech. They may need a kicker in the Swamp on Saturday night against the Gators. But we'll come back and talk with Vince Ferrara from the Sports Animal in Knoxville to kick off the third hour of Darren, Daunic, and Chase. That's next.
Your speaker at home is so smart that even Alexa knows where to find Nashville's best sports talk.
102.5 The Game is Nashville's best sports talk.
Ask Alexa to enable 102.5 The Game. Once enabled, ask Alexa to play 102.5 The Game.
Welcome to 102.5 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Cast iron. Lift that cast iron. You're doing good.
Hey, hon. Sweetie.
Yeah, hon.
I need to make dinner. I need that pan.
You can't always do home workouts how you'd want, but now you can sip what you want. Heineken 0.0. It tastes great, only has 69 calories, and absolutely zero alcohol.
Well, here, lift these. 2 Heineken 0.0s.
Oh, right. Dumbbells I can drink. Sip. Zero.
Must be 21 plus to purchase. Enjoy responsibly.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and the NFL is back, and FanDuel Sportsbook wants you to get the most out of every play, and that's why they're giving everyone a $10 risk-free bet every week, and all you got to do is bet a same-game parlay bet with 3 legs or more, and if your bet doesn't win, FanDuel will pay you back up to $10. The Packers and the Lions coming up on Monday Night Football. You know me, I got to go with the Packers in this game. I would assume that Aaron Rodgers and company going to respond in a big way after a embarrassing loss in Week 1 against New Orleans, but you take it any way you want to take it. And if you're new to FanDuel Sportsbook, sign up today with promo code ROB to also receive a risk-free bet up to $1,000. Once again, that promo code is ROB, so they know that I sent you. It's America's #1 sportsbook, the FanDuel Sportsbook. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund of $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Same game parlay available for multiple sports in all states on mobile and web. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Got chronic joint pain? Not having success with steroids, but trying to avoid surgery? Well, thankfully, there's a better way. And now it's available here from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Hey, Willie Daunic here. I'm talking about new therapies. Advanced, all-natural, regenerative treatments that can not only just give you relief, but can also restore and repair damaged tissue so you can have lasting relief. If you've got joint pain due to arthritis, knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, don't just think the old ways of dealing with pain are the only ways. You need to learn more about these new biologic therapy solutions. Call now for a free consultation. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. These remarkable new treatments increase mobility, decrease pain, and help restore tissue. They actually encourage your body to heal itself. Call now and learn more about these restorative, regenerative, and revolutionary alternatives. Don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's time for Darren, Daunic, and Chase. With hosts Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, and Chase McCabe. On Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Third hour, Darren, Daunic, and Chase here on this rainy Monday. Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic here with you. Elijah Campbell manning things at the Game Studios. Let's talk a little Vols as they get a 56-0 shutout win at home on Saturday afternoon. And boy, do they have quite the test coming up Saturday night down in the Swamp against the Gators. We bring in our man Vince Ferrara, WNML in Knoxville, the sports animal, at Vince Sports on Twitter. He's free and easy and a great follow. You should follow him on Twitter. He now joins us. Vinny, how you doing?
I'm good, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Thinking about Chase as well. So, thoughts with him for sure.
No doubt about it, as are we. I don't know what we can really learn about this game against Tennessee Tech. Tennessee Tech is not very good, and so we'll just go there. I'll just start with, what did you learn, or did you learn anything from that game? What stood out to you?
Well, I think there are a couple of things. One is that the line of scrimmage probably didn't match the final score. It didn't look as dominant as you would think in a 56-0 game, and what I think a lot of people would have expected. And that is not only a FCS program, that's not a high level or a very good FCS program, and they've been pushed around more by other teams more so than Tennessee did. And Tennessee did not, I think, really dominate the line of scrimmage like you would have expected. I mean, for them to rush the ball just without the dominance that is expected, just kind of pretty disappointing. 4.6 per carry. Your quarterback's your leading rusher for the second week in a row. And that's something that Heupel touched on in the post game, that they got to be better in the run game. And so, what are you going to do with an SEC front? So now that doesn't always translate. Sometimes, you guys saw Vanderbilt was a lot better against Stanford than they were against ETSU. So it's not that there's not always that transitive property, but it's got to be a lot better if they're going to hold up against Florida. Also saw, what did we learn? We learned that overthrowing deep balls by Tennessee quarterbacks is either contagious or something that they all have in them. So all of them did it that played. Hooker did it. Now, he didn't do it with the frequency that Milton did. And he also hit on a few beyond 20 yards. But even Bailey overthrew one as well. So it's just something that all the guys, the coaches, the players, we talked to a bunch of them today, they're all saying that, hey, it's, they're hitting them in practice and they are going to hit them. They're confident in it. But so that was another thing that, again, needs to elevate. And then I think on the positive side, because of guys being held out and because of the score, it allowed them to play a lot of younger and newer guys to UT, a decent amount of snaps in this game, and not add on unnecessary snaps when they don't have a lot of depth. So I think between those two things, I think it will be a positive that at least they got some guys some snaps. Granted, if they're forced into action in SEC play, it's going to be a whole different situation. But it should be better than them having no snaps or only on special teams should they be needed down the road. So I think that was a positive out of it as well.
Something I learned is Hooker's a pretty tough guy, man. That was a pretty scary run that he's got to learn to get down, man. That looked like, oh my gosh, he's injured, but hey, he stood in there, stayed with it, and finished off the drive with a touchdown.
Yeah, he's a much more willing runner that seems to like it more so than Milton. Milton will do it, and he kind of avoids contact at times. Milton, when we saw him, and Hooker's a little bit more. He reminds me some of Josh Dobbs in that he can be slippery, and I think he even invites the contact a little bit more. But guys seem to bounce off of him a little bit, and he likes doing it. He was effective doing it at Virginia Tech. He had 2 games where he rushed for over 150 yards. And, he's had some games where that was a bigger factor for him than in the past games. So, I think you're right. He needs to be smarter in those circumstances, but also he's got to protect the ball because I think that will impact his leash in the game. If he gets the nod and he plays, if he turns the ball over, those will be viewed with even greater value than overthrowing deep balls if he can't protect the football. Fumbled again in this game, nearly had another one. That's something that he's got more of than Milton. And so, but the offense has run better with him in there. But you're right. He can't turn the ball over, and he's got to sort of save himself, especially if he is the guy for whenever that is.
I'll be honest, because we got rained out and everything, we had so much rain over the weekend. I watched a ton of games, a ton of football over the weekend, and I got burned last night because I watched the NFL all day and turned away late. Thought the Chiefs had it in the bag, and I got burned on that one. I turned away. I turned away early in the Florida-Alabama. I was like, we've seen this before. I mean, we get it. Alabama's good. They're going to smoke Florida, and here we go again. It's like I'm moving on. I'm moving on to other games. But luckily, I went back and I watched a healthy dose of the second half. And to be honest, what I watched in the second half, and I watched that first quarter, and it was all dominated by Alabama. But that whole second half was dominated by Florida. Did you see anything that maybe Florida exposed with Alabama, or how did you view that game? Because quite honestly, I think Florida played good enough to win the game. How did you feel about it?
It's a mixed bag, and I caught it choppy as I was finishing up post game. It's one of the
True.
tough
Yeah,
things
you
about
had
being
that.
on one team speak.
Yeah.
I will go back and watch the whole thing, and maybe I'll have a different view of it. Watching it kind of in background, in and out, I think it showed that Alabama had the couple of things that they've had issues with at times is the running quarterback, sort of that dual threat quarterback, and I think that verified it. And then also offensively, them not having quite the running game that they've had in the past to rely on. So those are a couple of things that we kind of wondered maybe quietly about that showed up in that game. Here's the thing. Florida has been really one of the few teams that has played them well and has an answer to those things and could take advantage of those things. But Florida's running game, averaging 6 yards a carry against Alabama.
No
that
doubt.
Is so rare. So that part of it was a little bit different, but you have to factor in that quarterback run that at times for the high-level guys has given Alabama some issues. So I'm not going to overreact to it and say, well, it's wide open now. I want to see somebody else do that, and maybe I'll make Alabama pay for it. And even then, they get better as the year goes on. They have a response to, when they take a regular season loss. It's not like they never lose. To me, I'm not all that fazed that suddenly that they're not still the best team. I still view them in that way. And it's good to get a test sometimes so you can keep your guys motivated and practice during the week and, keep trying to get better.
That long drive by Florida was done. Naquan Wright was unstoppable on that drive. It was unbelievable. Yeah. They better watch out for him, man, because I'm telling you, that was an impressive drive by Florida. I mean, who drives on Alabama like that, the length of the field, and just crams it down their throat? And like I said, basically it was the Naquan Wright drive. It was impressive. Florida, they were a lot better than I thought. Like I said, I gave up on them in the first quarter. I was like, yeah, blowout loss. It's not going to be like the SEC championship game. And boy, I got to give it to them, man. They shut things down, and I'll be curious to see how Tennessee handles. And as we've seen with the fans back in the stands, the Swamp is a pretty tough place to play.
Yeah, Darren, and that's to me a different answer is what changed in viewing that game. My view of Alabama didn't change that much. My view of Florida actually changed a lot more in being impressed with what they were able to do against Alabama. So it's the running game threat of multiple guys. They have multiple running backs that had good games, including Wright, as you mentioned. And then they didn't even play Richardson at quarterback, who's been the most dynamic of their running quarterbacks. So I think it presents a lot of problems. Now, Tennessee, statistically, one of the better run defenses in the country this year. They're only giving up 54 yards per game. That's tied for fifth in the country. But they also haven't had the level of competition. It jumps up drastically. So Tennessee overall has been a good tackling team. They have to be against Florida, especially with the quarterbacks. And then Tennessee's got to be healthy. They haven't had Latrell Bumpus defensive in the last couple of games. They finally got Byron Young, who, to me, looked pretty good rushing off of the edge in that game, even though Tennessee Tech was getting rid of the football quickly. So he's going to be important, showed good change of direction. So he's going to be guys on those edges against those quarterbacks. Got to read it right, and then you got to react with quickness and then make those tackles. So the tackling aspect has got to come through the health. They didn't have Jawan Mitchell in this last game. So they've got to get healthy in a lot of areas. Theo Jackson's going to be big in this game, too, from that star position. That's another area where you're in a bind in defending those rushing quarterbacks and those running backs being able to bounce it off the edge. You got to make those tackles in the open field. Theo Jackson leads them in tackles, and he has done a real nice job of it. But again, it's on a different level. And Darren, you mentioned the atmosphere. This team has been at home, hasn't had anything to deal with, especially offensively, in terms of handling any sort of noise. So we'll see how Heupel prepares his team for that atmosphere. Look, they have this is how new of a Tennessee team they're bringing to Gainesville in that environment with a full house when that didn't happen last year, obviously, and it's been a couple of years. Tennessee has already had 46 players make their debuts in a Tennessee uniform. 46 new players, 20 of them freshmen, 12 true, 8 redshirt, and then others that are, transfers and guys getting their first opportunity, after a couple of years. So that's a lot of guys that are just getting their feet wet in a Tennessee uniform, much less making the jump to the swamp in the atmosphere they had against Alabama. And then one other factor real quick, Dan, is the after Alabama effect, right? Teams often get beat up after facing Alabama. What's Florida's physical state in that game? I think they have the better roster, but do they have, are they banged up or they lose guys here and there at key positions? That's something else to kind of track this week.
I think that is a really good one to look for, is to see if there's a little bit of a hangover after such an emotional game where they were right there with the best team in the country. Vince Ferrara is with us. Tennessee right now is close to a 3-touchdown underdog right now as the line comes out early. So, Vince, tell me how you would deploy the quarterbacks here. I know the fans really wanted to see Bailey. They got to see him some on Saturday. You've got the overthrows, all of these things. What's your best guess on the quarterback that gives them or the plan maybe that gives them the best chance?
Well, I think that, I know I would start Hendon Hooker. I think that's the direction they would go because early in the week, they still haven't been committal in terms of Milton's health. And when Josh Heupel was asked about it early today at the press conference he was asked if Milton's healthy, is he your starting quarterback? And Heupel said, well, I don't deal in hypotheticals. We got to see where he's at, and then when we know, then we can move forward. That kind of makes it seem like it's up in the air, but I also think if he's not able to fully practice, you can't put him out there without a couple of weeks of full practice and then send him out into the swamp. Unless their view of him is much more significant in the gap than what they think of Hendon Hooker, that would be the only way. But I think it would trend towards Hooker. I think that's where I would go. The offense is run efficient, more efficient. Yes, he's got to clean up those turnovers, but they got to be better in other areas. But in terms of the quarterback, I think the offense has settled down with them. It's so interesting. They take so many more deep shots with Milton than they do with Hooker. Now, they took some, and Hooker connected on some beyond 20 yards, but they were averaging Hooker in his limited playing time like 6 yards per throw, whereas the Milton, his throws are much farther down the field on average. Now, we saw it change a little bit in that last game, but they say the offense is the same, but I don't know that we've fully seen it yet. It's a lot more of the quick underneath stuff, and maybe he's reading those things better, and so they're calling it. But this offense is about quick throws and deep shots down the field. And if you can't hit your deep shots, then you're missing out on a lot of your offense, and you're putting your defense back out on the field quickly. So maybe that's a work in progress in the deep shots that they take down the field. So how do you work it? I would give him more opportunities down the field, but I think their best shot is like Florida, where you got to involve him in the run game. You got to get somebody else running the football too, though. It can't just be on that QB because they won't win if it's just Hooker or the quarterback running the ball as our leading rusher as well.
Vince, it's such a big topic all around college sports, just what the transfer portal, the rule now that you can transfer once free, and COVID, it has created such an amazing dynamic. There's some good, there's some bad. But I know Josh Heupel has handled it really well. You mentioned it. He's got so many guys that are making their debut in a Tennessee uniform. Meanwhile, we've talked a lot about To'o. I watched the Oklahoma-Nebraska game. Gray getting a lot of run for Oklahoma. He's a key guy for them. You think about the what if. If Heupel had a few more of these guys to work with, what kind of difference it might make.
Yeah, Ty Chandler rushed for 198 yards for North Carolina in their win against Virginia. You think
I forgot to mention him.
Used him? Yeah. So, and people still like who cares whenever any of us bring up someone that's no longer there. But it's like this is in recruiting. Like, you can act like it only matters who you get. I'm sorry, it matters who you don't get. That counts to me too. And so, they left for different reasons, but man, it's unfortunate because I think that could really change things had they had one of those two guys, much less both of them. But it is what it is, and a number of those guys, there's been more of them that have been outgoing than ingoing. I thought Henry To'o was a little inconsistent, got beat some in that Florida game. I don't think that was his best game, but it's not like he was perfect at Tennessee either. And then it would add depth, but this Tennessee team just does not have the depth, and a lot of that is that transfer portal.
Vince, great stuff. We will talk to you again next week. Looking forward to seeing how Tennessee handles themselves at Florida. And, again, talk to you next Monday.
All right, sounds good. Always great to be with you guys. Thank you.
All right, Vince Ferrara, the sports animal over in Knoxville. Always great insights on the Vols. On that, let's see. Where are we going? Let's go to Darren right now for a word on DraftKings. Darren, Monday Night Football tonight. Or maybe not. Darren has gone blank. Okay, Darren will have a word from DraftKings, I'm sure, soon enough. We'll come back, though. Stay tuned. We're just getting it cranking. A lot coming. We'll go around the NFL at 1 o'clock. We'll update you as well on some of the injury reports that are coming up. We'll get back to our Titans discussion. A lot to break down here on this Monday, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hang out with us every weekday starting at 6 a.m. with Robbie and Rexroad.
Limping off the field. I can confirm he was limping off the field.
Darren, Daunic, and Chase from 10 to 2.
Wouldn't say it deserves a gold star.
We want people to play along. This is what's crazy.
And Stillman and Company from 2 to 6.
I want to go last. Can I go last? Sure.
Watch live on Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube. Tune in anytime on the Game Nashville app or your home speaker. This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
I want to talk to you about DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. DraftKings is kicking off yet again another week of action by giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. Listen up. All you have to do is bet $1 on any football game this week and receive $150 in free bets instantly, no matter what. And this football season, all customers can swing big with DraftKings same-game parlays. That's right, same-game parlays allows you to combine multiple bets for a bigger payout. This week, place the same game parlay on any NFL game. You'll be credited up to $25 if your bet loses. All you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use that code 1025GAME to receive $150 in free bets instantly when you place just $1 bet on any football game. That code again, 1025GAME. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, you must be 21 years of age or older, Tennessee only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and needs help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of pills? Well, I have breaking news. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most proven form of wave technology available, clinically shown by Cambridge to open up and regrow blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. And to those that call in the next 2 minutes, you'll qualify for an extra treatment free. This is an unheard of value worth hundreds of dollars. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic in the next 2 minutes to qualify for this unprecedented offer. 615-576-5000.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment maybe now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use only. Down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Let me tell you, the most expensive mistake a homebuyer can make is not shopping for the best mortgage. Hey, I'm Roger Moore, founder and CEO of Loan Pronto. It's a fact. Homebuyers who choose Loan Pronto save an average of $3,500. That is a ton of money for furniture or moving expenses. How do we do it? First, we don't charge our clients thousands in junk lender fees and closing costs, and our all-digital platform streamlines the process so you close faster and easier. Realtors love working with us, and we will work with your existing realtor, but don't make a decision about the loan until you call us. Listen, not all mortgages are created equal, and it pays to get a second opinion. Even if you've already started the process, we promise to beat your current offer, or we will pay you $1,000 for your time. So check us out at loanpronto.com or call us today at 615-499-5780. Lower rates, lower costs, and a stress-free experience. Again, loanpronto.com or call us at 615-499-5780.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Rock Bottom Nashville is Broadway's original brewery, where all brews are brewed on site. Josh Rappaport is Rock Bottom's brewmaster, creating fresh craft beers where peak flavors are always the rule. Grab one of their blockbuster beers to pair with their nachos, pretzel bites, and delicious flatbreads. They even have group catering. They boast one of the best views of downtown Nashville and is a short walk to Titan Stadium. And enjoy happy hour Monday through Friday afternoons from 2 until 6. Rock Bottom Nashville, 111 Broadway.
Wednesday night.
CJ Support.
CF. Coverage begins at 6:15
on ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
This is Greg McElroy, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Well, I felt like we was putting drives together, but we just weren't finishing in the end zone. We kept getting 3 points and stalling. And, we just knew, we can move the ball, but we just got to, finish in the end zone. And, once it came back out, that was the main focal point is, put drives together and score points. And we got field goals, but we knew that wasn't going to help us, against this team. And I was glad we was able to get in the end zone.
Big win for the Titans out in Seattle, 33-30 in OT. By the way, if you want to win a pair of tickets to see the Zach Brown Band at Bridgestone Arena on Sunday, October 17th, this is how you do it. Go to YouTube and subscribe to the game's YouTube page. Yep, that's right, 102.5 The Game. We have a YouTube page. All you have to do is subscribe, and you'll be entered automatically for a chance to win Zach Brown tickets, Zach Brown Band tickets at Bridgestone Arena on Sunday, October 17th. A winner will be chosen on Monday, September 27th, so a week from today. So that's all you have to do. If you would like to go to that show, do that. Back here on Darren, Daunic, and Chase, presented by Curacion CBD. Curacion CBD products curated for life. Huge day for Derrick Henry. As Teron said when we talked to him, and we kind of alluded to that in the first hour of the show, maybe his best game ever, complete game as a member of the Titans. 35 carries for 182 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 6 catches for 55 yards. Yes, there were actually screens that were done for the number 1 running back for the Titans. A screenplay for the workhorse for the Titans. It's been a long time since we've really seen that. Doesn't happen very often. Even when Eddie George was running all over the place.
And it reminds me of what we discussed a lot last week for really both sides of the ball, but we know that there is a lot of skepticism about Todd Downing and for Shane Bowen, for that matter. But that is what is brought up constantly about people who have their questions about the Titans is, hey, they're missing Arthur Smith. I don't know. I thought Daunic, who had immense pressure on him for this game, and we discussed it a lot on the front end last week, I thought he comes through with a really good game plan there with adversity mixed in. The Lewan situation, the Saffold situation, Ferkser being out. We didn't know that. I guess he probably knew a lot before we did, but of course, we see Ferkser out. We're like, whoa, what do you do there? But how he utilized his tight ends, how he found ways to protect Tannehill and unleash Derrick Henry, I think you got to give him credit for that. Are we feeling a little bit better about that transition and their overall formula on offense now? I certainly am. Yeah, I think because they were so discombobulated last week, they had nowhere to go but up. But to win that game yesterday in that environment with the adversity they faced, that's pretty big.
I mean, I'm going to state the obvious. Do I feel better than after week one? Well, yeah, of course. Coming off a huge win on the road, yes. Did they make adjustments? Yes. Did it look great in the first half, like they had made adjustments? No. I thought the offensive line was very shaky in the first half. I thought the defense was very shaky in the first half. But it is a 60-minute game, in this case, over 60-minute game. And they made adjustments, and they came through with a huge win. But here's, without, I guess, throwing a wet blanket over yesterday's win to your question. Do I feel better? Yes. Do I feel like, okay, case closed, nothing to see here, everything is fine with Todd Downing and Shane Bowen? No. Obviously, I'm not willing to go there. The bottom line is we've seen it since he's been a member of the Titans and since he's been the guy. If Derrick Henry is having success, the Titans are having success. It's just that simple. I mean, have they lost a game when he has these type of games? Have they ever lost?
Pretty much no.
I don't think they've lost, have they? When he has these monster games, I mean, they just win. And I know it's just not going to happen every week, but, it was working against Seattle. Do I feel confident that the defense is fixed because Seattle didn't run all over them? No, because I don't think Seattle's a very good running team. If you heard me last week, while Chris Carson was coming off a semi-successful game in week one against Indianapolis, I don't view Chris Carson as a stud running back. I don't view Chris Carson as a top 10 running back in the NFL. I just don't. I think he's been wildly inconsistent throughout his career. He's always banged up and always hurt. And it plagued Seattle last year. They could not run the football. And I don't think they're going to be able to run the football very effectively this year. I think at times, in certain weeks, they'll be able to do it, like they were last week against Indianapolis. But overall, I think it's going to plague them again this year. And it's going to be all on the arm of Russell Wilson, like it was last year. Now, that was good enough to get them to the playoffs. Is Russell Wilson's arm good enough to get them to the playoffs? Yes. But, boy, could you imagine Seattle if they had, like when they went to back-to-back Super Bowls, when they had a Marshawn Lynch, if they had a guy like somewhere in the ballpark or the vicinity of Derrick Henry, how good they would be. But the reason I'm not willing to go all in, as in everything's fixed, Willie, is, we've seen this. When Derrick Henry has success, they're just basically, you can almost count it. It's a W. They just don't lose when he's running wild, and he did it yesterday.
But you have to give them some credit scheme-wise for finding the formula to get him loose, especially after they struggled so much in the first half. So I thought there were very high marks for Todd Downing yesterday. And what we talked about last week a lot, the reason there was so much pressure on Downing in my mind was if you have another clunker, and it could have gone either way at halftime. They're down 24-9. They had certainly got Julio Jones going. They had their moments. They didn't have red zone success, but they had another bad turnover that handed the other team a touchdown. If they have another half like that and they get beat, I think that you're going to have a lot of questioning of Downing. That topic is going to grow more. It's going to snowball down the hill to an even bigger snowball. And you're going into a game against the Colts. And more so than our criticism or our skepticism, I worried about the inner locker room. Do they believe in this guy? Do they believe in the scheme? Do they believe in their game planning? And I thought that the answers they came up with yesterday, the multiple tight ends, the using the backs as receivers, getting Julio Jones going. A.J. Brown isn't clicking on full cylinders yet, but you still have a lot of confidence that he's going to. But I thought how they handled Adams, especially in the second half, unique talent that he is. I thought these were really positive signs that they're coming together. The formula is starting to take shape, even with some of these curveballs that were thrown at them before the game and then during the game with Luan and Saffold. So I just think the belief strengthens a lot. That's why I think it's the biggest positive.
Can you believe that DK Metcalf had 6 catches for 53 yards, which is nothing for him, right? And into our pick 6 question of more receiving yards, Metcalf or A.J. Brown, if you would have said going in, hey, just so you know, heads up, Metcalf's going to have 53 yards receiving, I would have taken A.J. Brown and top shelved it. Right?
I know.
And by the way, Metcalf was the right answer. I mean, there's no way you could have convinced me that 53 yards was going to win that category, but yet it did.
I stumbled into that as my top shelf, getting that right, because I took Metcalf, but thinking he was going to have a heck of a lot more than 53. So they did a nice job on him. He also, as Teron pointed out, had a couple bad penalties.
He did.
On top of it. So he was kind of a negative. So
he should get a penalty for his hair color, too.
But you got to keep cool at all times. That's his thing,
Which
right?
Is
the blue hair.
Ironic because he got a penalty for.
Yeah, he was not cool-headed.
Yeah, he was not cool-headed.
And it was funny. They used that storyline as they were showing him standing there without his helmet on right after he had gotten the penalty.
Yeah.
So it's like fill in the blank here. So Bowen, right? Shane Bowen is going to be under the microscope every week until this defense gets better. But I saw some things. I saw progress there. We're always asking ourselves, are they better? They changed all these guys around. Brand new secondary, brand new defensive line. Are they better? I thought the question moves further. And you're making a good point, Darren. In this league, you're only as good as your last game. There's always surprises. You got to do it every week. But do I see potential? Do I see cause for optimism for the defense? Oh, yeah, I do. They face 2 very unique offenses, and I thought they were much, much better yesterday. They got some key stops. They could have wilted, and they have wilted in the past, but they showed some things. They got some clutch stops. They got some 3-and-outs. They made some plays.
They did. What was it? Seattle at one point was like 2 for 7 on third downs.
This third down, they got some third down stops. Let's just take a look.
Seattle was 4 for 12.
4 for 12.
How about that?
I take that every time.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. 4 for 12. That is massive improvement. I did see this stat just to tell you, how important Derrick Henry is. I saw this stat during the course of the show from Pro Football Focus. Of his 182 yards, do you know how many of Derrick Henry's 182 rushing yards came after contact?
It's got to be a ton.
Just take a guess.
Because I remember saying to myself during the game before he really got going, how many carries is he getting where he's getting contact behind the line of scrimmage? One or 2 guys in the backfield or at the line before you can ever build a head of steam. I do not know the answer. It's got to be a high percentage.
160 of the 182 yards that he rushed for on Sunday came after contact.
Well, I was going to wonder how they were going to score the 60-yard run, because if you look at that run, which was a really well-designed play, like we were mentioning early in the show, Jamal Adams blitzes hard inside, stunts hard inside to try to get to him, and that's what's been effective a lot against Henry, is you get to him, you get contact in the backfield before he gets going. But that time he kind of fell into the trap. He goes inside. A.J. Brown makes a really nice block on him. But then it's kind of one-on-one with him and Flowers, and you're like, Flowers isn't going to tackle him. But I guess there was contact, I guess that must be because by your math, they had to have said a lot of that run was after contact. But if they can get him going to where either it's him against a defensive back or he gets to that second level before he gets contact, you know it as well as I do. It's game over. That's the only way to stop him is to stop him before he gets going. But that's an amazing stat. What did you say it was again? Out of 182, it was 160 after contact?
160 after contact.
Imagine if they could get that percentage down a little bit more, how scary that would be.
I know. I could not. I mean, I knew it was high like you. But 160 of 182 were after contact.
Because there were, I don't know how many runs. There had to be 15 runs out of the 35 that just went nowhere. 0, -1. It just shows you the stay with the run game mentality that you have to have. And you notice it's taken until 12:43 to mention that's a lot of touches, and that's a tough formula every week, but he still looks like he can handle it.
How do you go away from it, though? Like
you have to.
Like we're just
that's the only way they could have won the game.
I was going to say, that's the only way they can win. Yes, thank you. It's the only way they can win. So how do you stop feeding him the ball? It's the only way you can win.
Mm-hmm.
We've already seen.
And that's
if
why
he doesn't run effectively, they don't win those games.
And that's why the creativity, the craftiness with the issues on the offensive line is going to be important every week. You've got another really good front that you're facing this week for the Colts. And I know they're 0-2, but, man, are they going to bring it. They've got it. They've got to have it. It's a massive game on Sunday. You're going to see a desperate team. So that's going to be the key for the Titans, is to sustain and not have the letdown. If you read the accounts, I was reading the Athletics take on the game. Seattle had everything smooth sailing. Nothing went wrong in the first week, and then all of a sudden, here's the we gave the game away. 10 penalties. We couldn't finish. All of that stuff. There's that week-to-week focus that you have to have that's so tough in this league because every game is so tight. There's so little difference between good teams.
I've got a sure bet for you for tonight.
Oh.
You know who I bet we don't see on with Peyton and Eli tonight during the Packers-Lions game?
Does he wear number 14?
You're
saying he won't be on for a second straight week?
I don't think Russell Wilson's going to be on there. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I feel pretty good about
I feel pretty good about that. What's the money line on that?
Oh, it's you're not going to make much money off that.
No.
Okay. It's very the odds are not in your favor. By the way, speaking of that, listen to this oof by me. I had Elijah, listen up, a $25 parlay. Listen to what I had. Patriots money line, check. Browns money line, check. Tampa Bay Bucks money line,
good,
check. Bears -2 over the Bengals, check. Titans +6.5,
good,
check. And to complete the parlay, my $25 parlay to win $321.14. Jags +6.
Ooh.
Put your faith in Jacksonville.
Wow.
And I was like, all day, I was like, that's what I get for betting on the Jags. That's what I get. That's what I get for doing anything that involved the Jacksonville
The Trevor
Jaguars.
Lawrence love. It started a couple years ago when they won the national championship, and you were telling everybody the Titans should lose intentionally to get this guy. He's special. Lose everything.
Yeah, tank for Trevor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't touching that game with a 10-foot
He
pole
was
outside of the ender.
14 for 33.
He looked horrible.
It wasn't good.
Looked horrible. That was for $321.14 off a $25 parlay.
Parlays are tough, man. They're tough.
There's a reason why they pay out like that.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
you can
all
taste it. You can taste it.
Taste it. All I need is freaking Jags to cover. Just need you to cover. Not even close. Well, they were up 7-0 actually.
Yeah.
They were up 7-0, and that was it. It was all Denver after that. By the way,
you notice I'm not saying the Jags are a tough out this year like I did last year after 1 week.
No.
Hey, Jags look pretty good. They might be better than we thought.
Did we underestimate the AFC West?
I don't think so. Did we?
Raiders 2-0.
Oh,
Broncos
AFC
2-0.
West. I thought you meant NFC West. That's what I was thinking. AFC West, Raiders, impressive.
Raiders, Broncos. Hello.
Broncos, I'm holding the phone on that because they took advantage of a good schedule and give them full marks. They got the dubs.
Well, because they stunk last year. That's why.
Yeah.
Well,
that's part of it.
Willie, why don't you tell everybody about some kinetics?
Some kinetics, huh? Okay.
Yes.
Well, it's a brand new sponsor on our show that I'm going to be telling you about. It's called QC Kinetics, and this is really directed at those who might be a little bit older. Maybe you've pounded your body over the years, the joints, things like that. So if you're dealing with chronic pain, knees, ankles, shoulders, I want you to listen carefully to this because now there are some new treatments available here that you might not have heard of before. We're not talking about surgery or steroids. We're talking about regenerative treatments. Now, I'm going to test myself on how many times I can say regenerative cleanly, but that's the key word here. Regenerative treatments from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. So QC Kinetics is the leader in these exciting biologic therapies that help restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints with lasting results. So if you got pain in the knees, shoulders, hips, back, joint pain that won't go away, you've tried different things, you might want a new opinion on this, something new that you haven't looked at before. Check out these treatments with patient satisfaction reports. Astonishing levels of success there. They can actually help your body restore and repair itself with no downtime, no drugs, no surgery. So call now to schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics. It's a free consultation. Just hear what they have to say. It may be something you want to look into a lot more. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. If you're tired of dealing with that joint pain and you want to get moving, don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Henry at the 5. Can he get in? He will! What a run! And a touchdown!
King Henry and the Titans orchestrate a comeback win in Seattle.
It is good! Randy Bullock delivers!
We're reacting all day to the Titans' first win of the season on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. More rain for us this afternoon and at least early evening before showers taper off. The flash flood watch will remain in effect until 7 p.m.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Trust the roofers with integrity. E2 Roofing is a veteran-owned and operated local Nashville roofer with over 90 5-star Google ratings and an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. While roofing is our business at E2, honor is our code. For roof repair, roof replacement, free inspections, or insurance claim assistance, visit e2roofingnashville.com.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know when you win, you're gonna get paid. You need a sports book that offers all the action to make every game feel like the playoffs. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. I play at BetUS, and so should you. Now is your turn. Join now. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. My favorite sports book, BetUS.com.
Up to 200% sign-up bonus. Support the station and use code GAME.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Jared Stillman,
I cannot believe they picked this guy I've never heard of.
and company.
You're forced to play cap gymnastics, which makes it a little bit more difficult for picking up other guys.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Delivered by TriStar Moving. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Interact with Darren, Daunic, and Chase. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Don't forget, 94.9 is the official English radio home of the Nashville Soccer Club. Listen in this Wednesday as Nashville SC takes on Miami. Pregame starts at 6:15. The match begins at 6:30. We're coming off a tough loss in Toronto. Back here on Darren, Daunic, and Chase, presented by Creation CBD. Creation CBD, products curated for life. So Elijah heard us talking about how successful the Titans are when Derrick Henry has success. Well, he did a deep dive into that stat. This is what Elijah came up with, Willie. The Titans are 17-2 when King Henry runs for more than 100 yards. How about this?
I'd say that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. 15-0 when he runs for more than 115 yards. 15-0 when he runs for more than 115 yards. 17-2 when he rushes for over 100. How do you stop feeding that guy the ball? I mean,
you have to feed him.
You can't.
And it goes back to can he continue to handle the workload? If he can, then this is great. I keep having the same thought. We've talked so many times about how long can you keep that window open for him. They made the trade for Julio Jones. There's a lot of salaries that will go way up next year that will have to be addressed, even though the cap number goes up. Tannehill's, Bud Dupree's, Taylor Lewan's. There's a lot of things that will have to be addressed. So there is a lot on this year. This is a go-for-it year. That's why I did it. I might be nuts, but I predicted Super Bowl for this team. And that's part of my thinking is if it's not now, I don't know that your chances are going to be better next year with Tannehill and Henry a year older, Lewan a year older, Julio Jones a year older. It really is the window here. I'm hoping that they can sustain it. I hope Derrick Henry has another 3-4 years of this kind of stuff because if he does, then you got a chance to win every game. I just don't know how long he's going to be the guy he is today. I'm just glad there's signs that he's still the guy because you know how much of a point I make is most backs do not bounce back after a year where they carry the ball that much. And we're just getting started here. And Robbie made this point earlier today. Everything can end for a back on one play. The greatest backs of all time. I was watching some clips on Sunday. I don't know why there's this old school. They come up with these old NFL films clips, which I just am addicted to. I'm like a fly to the fluorescent light. You know, you give me an old Steve Sable thing or a Harry Callis or a John Facenda, I'm just like, shoo, I'm all over it. Billy Sims. Remember Billy Sims? Number 20 for the Lions before Barry Sanders? The guy was amazing. Heisman Trophy winner. Running for thousands of yards. Tore up his knee. Done. After about 3 years. He had about 3 great years. I was watching Vanderbilt's game on Saturday. Raymond Davis had a great first half going against Stanford. Got an injury. He's out for the rest of the game. I don't know what his prognosis is, but things can change for a back on one play. But that's where you just keep being very thankful that
is he the one who had the spin move?
What a great spin move!
That was an awesome run.
It was a great run.
Awesome run.
And he had actually gone out of the game earlier. And then he tweaked it again somewhere after that run. And so that's a shame. Here's a guy that transferred.
I was like, I about came out of my shoes. I was just like, whoa.
In the stands, people were going, wow, now that's a heck of a run. You haven't seen that from a whole lot of Vanderbilt backs. But I'm just real thankful that Derrick Henry still has these kind of games, and let's just hope that what we're seeing, we keep seeing it, because it's greatness, right? It's, as Mike Vrabel said after the game, it never ceases to amaze me what the guy does.
You know why I'm not as worried about him as you? You know why?
Why is that?
Because he's elite. He's different than everybody else. So I know you're going to give me your example of a guy from 3-4 decades ago. He's just different than everybody else, man. These guys they're wired differently now. They're programmed differently. They got different workout habits. They got trainers and nutritionists and chefs.
I know.
And they take care of themselves, and technology and the medical profession is way better. So I'm not as worried about him. I don't want to worry about what a fine running back did 35 years ago and how he went down with one play. Because, yes, by the way, everybody's one play away in the NFL from their whole career taking a turn for the worse. It only takes one play. I mean, but Derrick Henry's a freak. He's not just a guy. He's not just anybody. He's a freak. He's an elite
Pete Carroll used the Jim Brown reference. Remember,
did he really?
He said, I don't want to compare it to Jim Brown, but
here I go.
Yeah. But he says there's a lot of things that remind me of that.
Really?
That was used in the broadcast yesterday.
Wow. Man, when you're getting compared to Jim Brown, woo.
It is.
Moly.
It's pretty special, and it just gives you a leg up when you're Todd Downing and you've inherited this keys to the Ferrari, and you're trying to figure out, how do I make my mark on this? How do I find a way to maximize what I've got here? It just starts with, Seattle's got everything going. How do we stop it? We're going to stop Derrick Henry. We've got to do what we've got to do to stop it. All you've got to do, as long as he's himself, is take what the defense. How do we exploit what they're giving up as they make the sacrifices to try to stop him, which they may or may not do, and they didn't do.
By the way, did you see Kyler Murray at his own 10-yard line running around for his life against the Vikings? Opposite, okay, to his left, going around as he twirls and goes to his left, throws slings it downfield across his body, finds a wide-open Rondale Moore, and he goes for like 85 yards in a touchdown.
That Rondale Moore thing, we talked a lot about the Cardinals.
I know.
The A.J. Brown hype appears to have been just that, hype, but the Rondale Moore hype looks like it was legit.
He looks pretty good.
He looks good.
But, it's also nice to have DeAndre Hopkins. By the way, A.J. Green scored a touchdown against Minnesota yesterday. It's nice to have, A.J. Green, Christian Kirk. So, he's taking advantage of that, right? But what a play. I mean, how many quarterbacks, even get out of that pressure? And then to get out of that pressure and throw an 85-yard touchdown off of that pressure going opposite side. Pretty impressive, man. Kyler Murray, this just in. He's pretty good. He's pretty darn good. All right, we'll come back. We'll continue the discussion on the other side as we begin the fourth and final hour of Darren, Daunic, and Chase. That's next.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee! 3-ball, yes, sir!
And when you're in the borough, tune us in on 97.5.
In the end zone, caught, touchdown!
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Cast iron. Lift that cast iron. You're doing good.
Hey, hon. Sweetie.
Yeah, hon.
I need to make dinner. I need that pan.
You can't always do home workouts how you'd want, but now you can sip what you want. Heineken 0.0. It tastes great, only has 69 calories, and absolutely zero alcohol.
Well, here, lift these. 2 Heineken 0.0s.
Oh, right. Dumbbells I can drink. Sip. Zero.
Must be 21 plus to purchase. Enjoy responsibly.
Let me talk to you about my friends over at Cool Springs MD. They've been helping me improve my quality of life for years, and I'm thankful for that. Dr. Jeffrey Lodge, the board-certified physician, his wife Daphne, the registered nurse, and their very experienced staff can help you in a variety of ways. They've been helping me, and who doesn't want to be healthier and happier? I know I do. And maybe recently you've tacked on some unwanted pounds that you would love to shed. Well, they take that very serious. Weight loss management is important to them, and they've got programs and products and people that can get you back on track and headed in the right direction ASAP. Rejuvenation, your appearance should be important. It's important to me, and it gets tougher as we age. I remember when everybody thought I was a lot younger than my actual age. Don't get that as much these days, but you know what? If you want to sit down with their team and talk about PRP, hair removal, Botox, they can do that. Hormone therapy. Maybe you've been feeling off lately. You just don't have the same drive or the same energy, and you're trying to figure out why. What's going on? Or maybe experiencing some mood swings. You can get your levels checked. Maybe they've dipped. Maybe they've dipped to an all-time low, which does happen as we age. Their staff will be more than happy to discuss BHRT, testosterone, estrogen. They do it all, and they do it all under one roof. It's a state-of-the-art facility out there in Cool Springs at 1642 Westgate Circle. And if you need to schedule an appointment or a consultation, pick up the phone and dial this number, 615-283-7291. That's 283-7291. Or you can always go to their website, coolspringsmd.com.
312 Pizza Company is a proud sponsor of Nashville Sounds Baseball on ESPN Radio.
Tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. and Friday at 3:15 to hear News 2's Corey Curtis take on all things Nashville sports, including the week's NFL games. All brought to you by Invigorate Health in Mount Juliet. Look and feel your best with IV therapy, medical weight loss, testosterone, body shaping, and more.
Zines First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Hey, mortgage rates have taken a nosedive, back to the lowest in history. Don't miss your chance to lock in a lower house payment with Loan Pronto now. Hey, it's Willie Daunic. Call Loan Pronto today and take advantage of their super popular zero-cost refi program. You can get a rate with an APR in the low twos with no junk fees and no closing costs. Yes, they pay your closing costs. Who else does this? Loan Pronto's all-digital process is fast and easy. Virtually no paperwork required, and most loans get closed in 14 days. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Think about that little bonus. Call Loan Pronto now and start the process before rates spike again. Get your forever loan today. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. If your current mortgage rate starts with a 3, you need to act now. 615-499-5780, loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans eligible for zero-cost option.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's time for Darren, Daunic, and Chase. With hosts Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, and Chase McCabe. On Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Fourth and final hour, Darren, Daunic, and Chase here on this Monday afternoon. Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic here with you. Chase has the day off as he mourns the loss of his father over the weekend. Great man, kind soul. Love the show, love talking to him, love talking sports with him. He was a great, great guy. Unfortunately lost his battle with cancer over the weekend, and we are thinking about the McCabe family. We are keeping them in our thoughts today as they go through this rough time. He will be missed for sure, and I know, and we know how close Chase was with his father. He'll probably take tomorrow off as well. He can take off as long as he wants to sort through some things, and we just want him to know that we're thinking about him. Elijah Campbell is manning things at our game studios. Jaguars, thanks Urban Meyer for helping me for losing my money line bet or my parlay bet. Thanks. Coach Herb said today that wide receiver Chenault is going to miss some time. Guess he's got a shoulder injury. But we'll see how long. He's a guy that's important to them. And also their tight end has a high ankle sprain, and he's going to be out for a while. Like it really matters because when they had those guys in, they couldn't win against Denver. It's going to be a long season for the Jags. But remember, he remains dedicated to turning that organization around and not taking the USC job, which, by the way, USC responded. Weren't they down 14-0? And then they came back and just waxed Washington State.
With a backup quarterback.
Yeah. But weren't they down 14-0 in that game?
Correct, yeah.
And they won, what, 42-14?
Yeah, I think it was either 35 or 42 unanswered. It was 35 when I quit watching, so they might have scored after that. But, yeah, they definitely responded pretty well after going down 2 touchdowns and losing your starting quarterback.
Yeah, so pretty interesting. Okay, so, Elijah, I'm going to let you tell everybody what we're going to do here, and let's get at it.
All right, before we turn it over to Elijah, and keep the music going. Darren, you remember back in the day with the late, great Nick Hunter, we had a segment in baseball called Zingers. I would throw the zingers at you guys, you, Nick, George, and we would have a blast. So this is the same idea. We started this last week. We didn't coin it Zingers, but Elijah has come up with some topics. So this is something
where Nick hatched his impersonation of you?
Oh, yeah, it was.
During Zingers?
It was. And so who knows what fun is around the corner. And it's reminiscent of the old Chase McCabe mailbag that he would throw at the 3D. Remember that on a Monday?
Absolutely, yes.
So the idea is snappy, quick answers, fun banter. It'll be better when Chase rejoins us. But Elijah has come up with these items, these zingers from the action yesterday in the NFL.
NFL zingers or Elijah's examinations. I don't know. There's a lot we can work with here that we've definitely thought of. We'll go ahead and start number 1 with the game that Darren didn't finish that ended up being one of the best games of the week, and that was Ravens and Chiefs. Finally lives up to the hype. Ravens pull off a huge win after a disappointing loss to the Raiders on Monday Night Football, which leads me to this. Has Lamar Jackson proved to you guys that he can make the Ravens contenders despite all the injuries they've sustained before the season even started?
Well, this is what I know on that.
Wait a minute, that was earlier.
We did already have that today, but I'm going to extend it for this.
Okay.
If you are a running back wearing a Ravens jersey and you're on the same team with Lamar Jackson, you should be able to get some yards. Like, it doesn't matter who the guys are. Like, they picked up Latavius Murray off the street. Guy looks pretty good. They're still getting the rushing yards just because Jackson is such an amazing runner. And how good do you have to be to beat the Chiefs after your first series you throw a pick 6? They beat the Chiefs after spotting them 7 points with a pick 6. Jackson, he makes mistakes, but I'm feeling a little bit better about my Ravens pick now because he's just so tough to stop. They're going to be a factor. I don't know. There's a lot going on there, but that was a huge win.
It was 7-0 before you could blink an eye. You're right. How about that jump pass by him? Was that a little Tim Tebow-esque?
A little bit.
For a touchdown?
Tim Tebow on steroids, because that ball traveled like 15, 20 yards.
That's true. That's right. Tim Tebow's jump pass was usually, 2 yards?
Goal
That's
line.
a good point. Latavius Murray looked good, huh? 9 carries, 36 yards. Okay. The answer to the question is it really doesn't matter. You're right. Because he's so dynamic, and he rushed for over 100 yards. Here's the problem that I have, and I know he's better than Daniel Jones. He is. He's flat out better than Daniel Jones. No, this is just in.
He kind of won the MVP.
Not the earth-shattering statement of the year.
Yeah.
But you don't want your quarterback constantly leading you in rushing. And Daniel Jones continues to be the leading rusher for the Giants year after year. And that seems to be his strength. And then after that, there's not much to like. Like I said, Lamar Jackson brings a lot more to the table, but do you really want Lamar Jackson leading you in rushing and rushing attempts every week in the NFL?
You got to do what you got to do to win. The guy is an incredible runner.
Yeah, but aren't you playing with fire? If your franchise quarterback is leading
I'm willing to play with that fire.
Rushing attempts and yards?
I think you just got to light the fire. It's your best chance. It's
then
your best chance.
why would you be worried about backing Derrick Henry down then?
I just think that's the best. It's the best way for them to win.
Well, so is running Derrick Henry.
I know.
Too.
I think I'm coming. I think I'm slowly coming to grips with that too.
So I mean, that I didn't pick them. We know I did not pick the Ravens to get into the playoffs this year, and I felt really good because right after we made those picks, like they lost like 4 running backs and Marcus Peters.
Yes,
I was like,
they
okay,
did. And
all right.
Jackson has made some really bad throws, like what is he doing kind of throws. On the pick 6, the guy fell. That's one thing. But he also has some throws in the game going, what is he doing? What kind of throw is that? But if you live with that, we're going to see how much he can elevate it. But so the Ravens are an intriguing team.
Yeah, right. And the other thing is Hollywood Brown, who I had last year in fantasy, and I thought he was a dud. I was so mad at him. I went into this year with all my drafts, and I was like, I'm not taking him. He has had a really good start to the season. Looks pretty darn good.
All right, number 2. So the Chargers, the Saints, Eagles, and Dolphins all lose in Week 2 after impressive Week 1 wins. So I'm going to make this the inaugural Dennis Green Award. Which one of these teams that I mentioned, Chargers, Saints, Eagles, and Dolphins, would Denny Green say?
But they are who we thought they were.
Okay, so give it one more time. I'm going to write these down again.
All right, so the Chargers. Who lost against the Cowboys
on the last play of the game.
Another one-score game, which, by the way, the Chargers are 8-17 in one-score games since 2019. The Saints, who got smacked by Sam Darnold. The Eagles, who, after looking like world beaters on offense against the helpless Falcons team in Week 1, could not score against San Francisco, despite all the red zone trips. And then the Dolphins, who got shut out at home against the Bills with Tua Tagovailoa once again leaving a game early due to injury.
Okay. You want me to start this one?
Yes, you start this one.
So, who is the Dennis Green of this group?
But they are who we thought they were.
And he was talking about the Bears on Monday Night Football when they lost a tough one to the Bears. Dump Bears. The Chargers, no strangers to close games, right? Guess what they did yesterday? Lost a close game. Again. But that's not my answer. Eagles. Tell you what, Jalen Hurts, you guys know. Model citizen, great teammate, great guy, root for him. I have questioned the whole time whether he can be an every week quarterback in the NFL. Look, he's better than what I've expected. He's got to be better, though. He did have a long touchdown pass yesterday that was impressive. That's not my answer. The Dolphins don't have Tua. You know, he leaves early in that game with ribs. If he's out for a while, I don't know. Dolphins, they could be your answer, but the answer, Elijah, unfortunately, is your team. The Aints. I mean, the Saints. Excuse me, the Saints, not the Aints. But they may be the Aints. Because here's the thing. When I watch them again, the ghost of interceptions has not left Jameis Winston. Is not left. Okay? Yes, he had the 5 touchdowns the week before. But my goodness. He made a throw yesterday as I'm watching the red zone. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And Bruce Arians, I'm sure, screamed, see? That's what I had to deal with for that entire year. Why can't he make better decisions? The minute he threw that ball, I was like, no. And it gets picked.
I cringed so hard.
He cannot get out of that. Do not make that throw. I don't know why at this point in his career he still cannot get out of that phase of do not make that throw, Jameis. And he did it again. And he got picked. And it's like, man, he has not learned. He's not going to change. So the answer, I believe it was a 1-week tease.
Okay.
The Saints are destined to be like an 8-9 team.
I'm going to go with the Eagles for the Dennis Green Award. And it's not so much
who we thought they were.
I'm not going to go with Jalen Hurts as the focal point of it. I just think there are limitations with a lot of their roster. I like their offensive line and defensive line, but I just think they're just not going to be able to go grab a game with big explosive plays enough, and their defense isn't quite good enough to overcome it. So I think the Eagles are shaping up the way I thought they were, like Dennis Green says. On to zinger number 3.
Zinger number 3. We talked about it right before the break of the last segment. Kyler Murray throws for 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. human joystick at quarterback. He's incredible. Could this be the beginning of a legitimate MVP campaign?
Ooh, I know what Darren's answer is going to be. MVP is a stretch. But, man, this is what I wonder. The Kyler Murray reminds me a little bit of the early Patrick Mahomes, in which he's throwing a lot of balls that you are trained not to throw. Running one way, throwing back the other. And I think Kyler Murray is seeing this. He sees Patrick Mahomes having success. He was like, you know what? I can do that. I have the same kind of skill set. I have the arm. I have the vision. But right now, Murray has not cut down the mistakes enough to tell me he's an MVP yet. Mahomes, it amazes me how few times he makes just the dumb throw. Last night, he finally threw an interception. His first ever September interception ever. Murray still, if you notice, he still turns the ball over some. But spectacular highlights, he's got it. So I'm going to say no.
You know my answer.
You love him. You love him.
What's not to
love? You
love?
love Kyler. He turns the ball over.
Turns the ball over, so does Brett Favre. So did Brett Favre his whole career.
Yeah, that's true.
What does that mean? I mean, was Brett Favre going to go down as one of the greatest ever? Yes. Am I saying Kyler Murray's going to go down as one of the greatest ever? No. But until he got hurt
We're
last
talking
year,
MVP, though. The question was MVP. In that division, against the Rams defense a couple times, the 49ers defense, I'm not seeing it.
You know who was my fantasy quarterback last year?
Well,
Kyler
yes,
Murray.
I do.
Do you know who my fantasy quarterback is this year?
I know.
Kyler Murray.
I know.
You know why? Because
you
he's
love him.
Really good. I love him.
But, Darren, this is not fantasy. The question was, will he win the league MVP? And he's going to get a lot of points for your fantasy team. I get it.
But
that's not the same
last
question.
year, was I not on this show talking about Kyler Murray for MVP last year until he got hurt? The answer is yes.
Okay. All right.
Last year, I was saying this guy is right in the thick of MVP talk. And then he got hurt, and he was never the same.
All right, number 4.
So the answer is yes.
The Raiders, with another impressive win. They take down the Ravens and the Steelers with Derek Carr throwing for 817 yards through the air in 2 games. How seriously should we take the Raiders?
The Raiders. All right, Darren, you're up first.
Well, I mean, if you would have had the Raiders in your dinner screen category, I'm just not buying yet. I'm sorry. I don't buy John Gruden as a coach. I don't buy Derek Carr can keep this up. Look, it's a nice start. It is. Those are 2 really good wins. They beat the Ravens on Monday Night Football, and they went into Pittsburgh, and I watched a lot of the game. They're just the better team. They were. Which, by the way, had me questioning why I picked the Steelers to go to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They did not look very good. Ben Roethlisberger, man, looks old. You know why? Because he is old and slow. No, I'm not buying it. I'm out.
On this one, I agree with you, Darren. I'm not buying yet. I think they're going to be right around that 9-8, 8-9, trying to sneak in as the last team. I just think the AFC is too deep. I'm not buying in to the Raiders yet. But, you know, it dawns on me. Like, all these draft, like Henry Ruggs and some of these guys. Ruggs, he looks pretty good. Kenyon Drake, like these guys, they're young. They haven't blossomed yet. But if it all comes together, that's what John Gruden had in mind, trying to acquire all these draft picks. They were kind of getting some heat for not turning a lot of these picks into good players. It does look like it's coming along some, but I'm still in a wait-and-see mode. Do we have another?
We have one more.
We got one more zinger. Oh,
this is an
good.
interesting one that I have not seen anybody talk about in NFL media circles. It's the Bengals. They passed up on Penei Sewell for Jamar Chase in the draft. Sewell, who already had one nice game with the Niners, was the consensus best offensive lineman in the draft. Well, the Bengals have already given up 9 sacks of Joe Burrow after these first 2 games. Do you think they're second-guessing themselves? And do you think Joe Burrow physically survives the season if he's getting hit at this rate?
Oof. I think we all were in the wait and see. Hey, Bengals should be better, like what Burrow's doing. But I think I'm going to lean to yes on that. I do think that Joe Mixon is not enough of a game changer to take some pressure off. I think they're going to have to throw to win. I love the targets that they're throwing to, but no, I don't think they're going to protect him, and I worry about Joe Burrow's health going forward.
I worry tremendously. He reminds me of Derek's brother, David Carr. They better figure this out, or his career is going to be marred by injuries. It just is, and it's never going to.
And it's also are you going to start feeling pressure even when it's not there?
Yeah.
Because it's like David Carr was the assumption. He was dropping back with the assumption that I've got to get rid of this ball every time because I have no offensive line.
Yeah, and I think they're going down a really, really dangerous path. I think they've got something in Joe Burrow, but they better figure out how to protect him, or they're going to really mess this kid up. So, yeah, I'm concerned.
There it is.
Good zingers.
Your NFL zingers.
Darren, I thought that was a rousing success. And when we finally get everybody back in the saddle, unlike the first 2 weeks, I think this is going to go to a new level.
You think?
Oh,
okay.
Man.
I like it.
This is good.
Why don't you tell everybody about the Preds?
Well, the Preds are in the midst of the rookie tournament. They are 0-2 so far, some very high-scoring games that have happened. Philip Tomasino, though, is looking very, very good, and he is a guy to watch when training camp gets cranking here in a couple of days. They've got another rookie game tomorrow. But what they want you to know is hockey is back. We're back on close to the regular calendar here, starting with 6 home games in the month of October. So be there for the season opener against the Kraken on October the 14th. October games include a couple of Saturday nights in Smashville as well, with a couple of Eastern Conference opponents like, a very familiar group of guys from Carolina, the Hurricanes. And Barry Trotz and the Islanders are coming in October as well. So jump on in. Get in on the 6 home games in October and give them a call just go online. NashvillePredators.com/tickets is the easy way to go. But you can call 615-770-7800 if you want to use your phone device. But all kinds of stuff is going on. Remember, gold games will only be available for purchase for fans who reside in the Nashville Predators television viewing area through single-game ticket sales and ticket package purchases. So that's something you want to keep in mind for all of these games. But we want you today just to think about October. There's a lot of home games early on. You're going to want to be in on that. So get more information by going to Ticketmaster.com or join the Loyal Legion by going to NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we will see you in Smashville.
Hang out with us every weekday starting at 6 a.m. with Robbie and Rexroad.
I really am. You gotta be. I mean, I just totally am. You've gotta be.
Darren, Daunic, and Chase from 10 to 2.
Good participation.
We have a system now, thank goodness.
I had a funny moment happen.
And Stillman and Company from 2 to 6.
I have a story.
Get a cupcake.
Watch live on Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube. Tune in anytime on the Game Nashville app or your home speaker. This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. Call today, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. I play at BetUS, and so should you. BetUS.com.
Use code GAME for a sign-up bonus.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Has she seen an engagement ring she really loves? A unique look from a top-notch designer? You won't find it at just any store, but you will at Genesis Diamonds.
At Genesis Diamonds, we work with the most sought-after designers in this country. We are proud to feature lines like Tacori, Baraggio, Kurt Cara, Henry Dawsey, A. Jaffe, Jeff Cooper, Gabriel, and many more.
Since other jewelers can't get these designers, David says beware of knockoffs.
Often stores will result to copying or knocking off a designer ring just to compete with Genesis. And oftentimes you will actually pay the same, if not more, for that fake.
Why risk it? Genesis has the real deal. Unique, handcrafted, cutting-edge designs and award-winning craftsmanship.
So not only will you get the exact product you wish with the brand you trust, but at a price that you can afford.
Get her the ring of her dreams at Genesis Diamonds.
Every girl wants a designer ring. They don't want Joe in the back room to make a copy. They want the real thing.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and let me tell you about my friends at Curation CBD. If you're like me and have aches and pains all over your body, and you've been searching for a solution, well, I've got it. It's Curacion CBD. Curacion means healing, and that right there says it all. Curacion is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here from Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sell, Curacion is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use for athletes and for pets, too. Order yours now at CuracionCompany.com. Curacion CBD, curated for life.
Yo, it's Teron Davenport here to tell you about my friends at Freedom Tire Guys. They're Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and they do it all. New tires, balance, rotation, everything. Bill, a recent customer of theirs, loved the way they came to him and saved him time and money. So if you're like Bill, you like convenience, and you need some new tires, check out FreedomTireGuys.com. If you don't see the tires you like, give them a call, and they'll find them for you. Check them out today at FreedomTireGuys.com.
Tuesday night, the national playoff race heats up when Fernando Tatis Jr. and the San Diego Padres host the San Francisco Giants. Coverage begins at 8:30 on ESPN, 102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Mookie Betts. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
On the broadcast yesterday, them showing the Seattle Kraken arena.
Say that again.
Did you see yesterday on the broadcast where they were showing the Seattle Kraken?
Yeah. I was thinking about the Kraken a lot watching that game. Seattle's got great fans. You give them something to cheer about, they will bring it. I think that's going to be a fun thing to watch this year.
You think their crowds will be just as crazy as their soccer team?
It's a good question. I think yes. I think they're going to buy in.
It's hard to know though, right? I mean, but they are a very good sports market. But how do you really know how that market's going to respond to hockey?
I think they've sold the tickets, so I feel like they're going to be there. I think the
season's sold out.
The newness. Well, they had to sell them just to get the team.
Yeah, I mean, okay, first year, not going to really. How's year? Tell me about years 3 and 4.
That's the real question, because I think every team the first year is going to have that enthusiasm. Yeah. Now, what will be interesting is because Vegas was so good, like if they're not in contention for the playoffs, and they're like a normal expansion team, a traditional expansion team that should struggle for a while. That'll be interesting to see if, like, hey, what's wrong? Why aren't these guys going for the playoffs? Vegas did it. Why couldn't we do it? That will be interesting.
Come on. There's no struggles with new franchises anymore.
You're handed a great team. Come on.
What are you talking about? By the way, a good friend of ours, Adam on the text line, Willie and Elijah, was not happy with me talking about the Saints. He does not agree with my answer.
He's a believer in James.
Adam, new father Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Arlo, born into a world without Drew Brees being the Saints quarterback.
I mean, you guys saw the interception, right? It's just like, what do you? It's like James.
That was a bleep at someone in Saints uniforms down there somewhere. Throw. And there was just 3 players that were not.
There was 3 guys in front of him. Yeah, that kind of prevented that ball getting there. It was the 3 defenders in front of him that kind of stopped that ball getting to the receiver. Oh boy.
Yeah, I watched that and fell out of my chair. I think I blacked out a little bit. I don't remember much of the rest of the game from that point on.
How about the Cowboys? They could be easily 2-0. Could very well, right? That was a nice win yesterday. I did not think they were going to beat the Chargers. I really didn't. Although, what are we talking about? Chargers close loss. I mean,
yeah,
gosh, who could have ever seen that coming?
In the grand scheme of the AFC, that's probably a good thing for the Titans because you want pathways to get into the playoffs. You want if you don't win the division, you want that pathway to get in as a wild card, which I actually have And so losses like that by the Chargers are a good check mark. Because that's one, it's a good win for the Cowboys, but at the same time, the Chargers have to be going, come on, are you kidding me? We can't beat the Cowboys at home? Really? They went up and down the field and just end up with, 17? How many points did they end up with?
17. But
17
they
points?
actually scored a touchdown in that last
twice.
drive. Yeah, twice, yeah.
Come on.
Called back because of penalties.
It's just, if it's not one thing, it's another with them. They've seen that so many times. There's a lot of baggage.
Okay, so let's give it something, believe it or not. I don't know why. I guess it was easy to get lost in the shuffle. There's a lot to talk about. But so much we talked about last week with the kicking situation. Have they found their kicker? Have they found the kicker? Is Randy Bullock the kicker?
Okay, let's take it a step further because we know the answer this week is yes. He did a great job.
He's bought himself a week for sure.
No question, but here is the question. Because this is what benefited Randy Bullock is you can jump in and be a kicker for a team and just not have to make any kicks. But he had to kick a lot. He kicked a lot. I mean, he missed one, but he got in there and got some action. So he's got a lot of street cred, especially comparatively speaking. But what happens when Ficken, who was dead letter perfect in the competition, won the job, what happens when he comes off of IR? Is it hey, sorry, we've got a guy now? Or is it the old traditional, you don't lose your job because of injury?
Pause that. We're gonna talk about that. Let's go to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I think Scott in Franklin has got another question that we can talk about, and we'll come back to the question you just posed. Scott, welcome in.
Hey, I wanted to take time out to talk about the horrendous state of SEC officiating.
Okay.
Specifically the Mississippi State game and the Auburn game, which were just inexcusable. Mississippi State, everyone I think has seen, the punt that was downed at the 1, the back judge came in to mark the ball dead, and they let Memphis pick it up and run it back. And, the SEC office has already said they blew that.
Yep.
And they also blew the fact that there was, illegal participation. There was 2 guys wearing the same number on Memphis.
2 guys, 2 number 4s.
Yep.
There were 2 number 4s.
And then, but nobody is talking about, the Mississippi State gets the ball back, scores, they've still got time, they kick an onside kick. They blow the call and say that they didn't recover or they touched it within 10 yards. They go to replay and overturn that, but call a penalty on the replay that wasn't called on the field, which I didn't think you could do that.
I didn't see that. Is that what happened? I didn't know you could do that either.
Yeah,
I thought you just flat out could not do that.
They called it an illegal block for blocking someone before the ball was touched, but it was not called on the field. And let Memphis recover the onside kick. But that's not near as bad as Auburn Penn State, which there were a lot of questionable calls early in the game, a phantom grounding on Penn State, but the calls just got worse and worse as the game went on, culminating in just a crap show at the end. But the targeting is the worst thing. Auburn losing their best player and all, first team all SEC linebacker. Penn State has the ball. The guy is not down. He's lunging toward the goal. He's about to stretch his arm out and put the ball over the goal. And he comes in and makes shoulder-to-shoulder contact to prevent him from scoring, and he's ejected for targeting. And it's 1st and goal instead of 3rd or 4th and goal. I'm assuming you guys saw that.
We have lost common sense on targeting. I'm all for targeting and
I was going to say you just set off a chord for Darren. This is one of his themes for the season.
It's just we've just lost common sense on this rule.
Even worse than that.
It's ridiculous.
They missed after that a safety. Noah Cain was tackled in the end zone. They ruled he'd gotten the ball out. There's a still shot from the pylon cam that the TV and the league office uses that shows his knee down and the ball is directly over the goal line. The nose is out, the back of the ball is in the end zone, and by rule, that's a safety. I don't know why they can't use still shots on review, because it was clearly a safety. They miss that, then they get the, that was right after the non-PI call where, you don't want to bail somebody out on a bad call, but the cornerback tackles the wide receiver by the shoulder pads, and there's no PI. But then Penn State gets a PI call later for incidental contact, and the whole idea is you can mug someone if you're looking at the ball, but you can't brush up against them if you're not looking at the ball. That makes no sense to me either.
Well, there was a lot of those borderline ones in the Vanderbilt-Stanford game. Yep. I was at that game, so I didn't watch the Auburn-Penn State game. You know what's funny, Scott, is you've mentioned several questionable calls in that game, but you have failed to mention the one that made the headlines that's still on the ticker today is Penn State had a punt because they got the down wrong.
Oh, yeah. Well, but you have to blame James Franklin for that. There's no one making you punt on third. You've got an entire sideline of assistants and graduate assistants, and all you got to do is stop the game and say, hey, it's third down, it's not fourth down.
Well, he did.
No one forces you to punt.
I'm looking at James Franklin's quote. I talked to all of the officials. They said, look, they agreed on the call, and so did the replay official. They all agreed. I kept bringing them over and saying it's not accurate. I don't know what else I can tell them.
It didn't go to replay, so it wasn't a replay review. But there again, the point is, just terrible officiating all around, but just total gutlessness too in the replay booth. Total gutlessness to get a call right. That's what really burns me up. In the Mississippi State game, the SEC office said it should have been reviewed and it should have been overturned. The targeting call, that's nowhere near targeting. That's nowhere near the intent of targeting.
The targeting is going to be a thing all year long, I think. And I said it early. I think next year the rule will be modified. I think there will be different
Who's going to lead that charge? I hope you're right, but who's going to lead that charge?
You can't change it in the middle of the season, I don't think.
But who's going to be
next year it will
proactive
be
to
different.
do that?
I just think there'll be enough coaches that get together and say we've got to do something.
Well, coaches? Is it the coach's decision?
Yeah, there's competition committees and things like that where you discuss rule changes.
In the NFL, but is there in college?
Sure. Some
coaches committee to go in there to change rules? In the NFL,
I think there's got to be a system where how else would you change rules? There's got to be some way to do it.
Well,
they get the feedback of coaches somewhere.
All those smart people running the NCAA, Willie. All those really incredible people with common sense running the NCAA. That's who does it. I hope you're right.
I believe it will.
Who's going to get in when do they ever do something that makes sense? It's out of control. Update it. Okay, we get it. Now everybody understands you can't lead with your head. Helmet to helmet is no good. We get it. All that stuff. Safety is vitally important. We get all that. Everybody has figured that out by now. Now it's time to refine. It's time to mold that clay just a little bit. It's out of whack, man. You are taking important players out of games. By the way, this has been going on for years. This is not
right, and it was necessary.
I think it was
right.
Here at the Music City Bowl, the Kentucky player. It was ridiculous.
Yes, I think at the beginning it was correct because we had to change the way people defend. Now I think they've made their point, and we need to modify.
Now let's go back in a room and let's modify it. Let's fix. This is not the intent of the rule. It's way out of whack. You're stuck. There's just certain things you can use some common sense. That is not the intent of the rule. You cannot, and it just happens every single week. By the way, he had a whole list of things. By the way, if you literally did that all weekend and just took notes, you could spend a whole show
on screwed up calls.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to know. Who is responsible on the officiating team to make sure that there aren't two guys wearing the same uniform? I've always thought that it's the dumbest thing ever to have this thing. You can have two guys on the same team in the same number. you have 99 numbers. I don't see why this. I know, hey, recruiting, hey, yeah, you want to wear number 4. That's cool. I got a guy on. I guess that's the reason. Like, okay, I really want this guy. I want to promise him he can have his number he had in high school or something. Like it. Come on. There's no reason. They just need to outlaw the rule. One guy, one number. But in college, we got to have a guy on number 5 on offense and a number 5 on defense because it's a really cool number. I don't get it. Just wear number 67 and be done with it, okay?
That's another thing, by the way.
But who's responsible? Is the ref? The ref has got to look at all 11 guys and make sure on every play there aren't 2 guys with the same number. I can see how that can happen and be overlooked. But it is interesting how you had that way to prevent Memphis from scoring a touchdown, and the other one where the guy is, by rule, the guy is allowed to pick it up and go. But the guy was signaling, hey, I got an end of the play here. So that's where they messed up. Crazy play.
But that was a special teams play, though, right?
Oh, yeah. It was a punt.
Right, but, I mean, the only time you would ever be checking that is a special teams play.
You should on special teams because that's where you're supposed to have one guy on offense, one guy on defense.
Yeah.
So how many times as an announcer gotten the wrong guy because you take your flip card and you see 2 guys on the flip card. Who made the tackle? Which guy?
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
Get rid of that rule. One guy, one number. Please.
And it's been going
for
on
all
for
announcers'
a long time.
sake, for the announcers across America, so they can survive and not give the wrong name out. It's not that hard. You can have a guy with a different number. You can live with it if you don't have the number you had in high school.
I used to do in-house press box PA for the Music City Bowl, and that would happen
It stinks.
all the time. Like, it's like, oh, you see them, both guys out there in the same play, and it's like, well, which one was it?
Especially on special teams. Special teams is when you get caught.
Am I supposed to announce? Because I don't know which 6 it was.
Sorry, sir. I have not watched every game your team has played this year. I don't know all of the guys on your team, the 98 people on your team.
Yeah.
I don't like that rule.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Boy, opened up a can right there.
Yes, we sure did. And we got to get back to Ficken.
Yeah, we got to get back on the other side, but you're going to tell everybody first about Loan Pronto.
I can do that. Loan Pronto, we know that if you live in this area, your home values are very high. Plus, the mortgage rates have taken a nosedive. You put those 2 things together, you got a great chance to take advantage and lock in that lower house payment with Loan Pronto right now. If you call Loan Pronto today, you can take advantage of this super popular zero-cost refi program. Get a rate with an APR in the low 2s with no junk fees and no closing costs. Yes, they pay the closing costs. We're not talking roll them in secretly, that kind of thing. We're talking no closing costs. They pay them. Loan Pronto's all-digital process, too, is fast and easy. Virtually no paperwork. Most loans get closed in 14 days. That is a streamlined process that I can appreciate because I have gone through refis in the past that take a lot longer than that. So if you act now, you could even skip your next couple of house payments. How does that sound for your fall budget? Call Loan Pronto now and find out how you can start saving money and help yourself. 615-499-5780. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. If your current mortgage rate starts with a 3, you need to act now. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans eligible for zero cost option.
Henry at the 5, getting it in. He will. What a run and a touchdown.
King Henry and the Titans orchestrate a comeback win in Seattle.
It is good. Randy Bullock delivers.
We're reacting all day to the Titans' first win of the season on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Joe Rexrod here for FanDuel. The NFL's back, and FanDuel wants you to get the most out of every play. That's why they're giving away a $10 risk-free bet every week. All you got to do, bet a same-game parlay with 3 legs or more, and if your bet doesn't win, FanDuel will pay you back up to $10. Packers-Lions. Not exactly the vintage Monday Night Football game everybody's looking for, but, man, Packers on the money line. Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers over on their yardage. Packers over on points. I like all that stuff tonight. And this is what I also like, betting with a FanDuel Sportsbook. Fast payouts, easy to use, safe and secure. It's America's #1 sportsbook for all those reasons. There's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay, so lock in your bet today. Get up $10 back if it doesn't win. If you're new, sign up promo code Joe102, and you also get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code Joe102, so they know I sent you. You must be 21 or older in present Tennessee. Refund issued as an eligible strike credit. Expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Same-game parlay available for multiple sports in all states on mobile and web. If you have a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. More rain for us this afternoon and at least early evening before showers taper off. A flash flood watch will remain in effect until 7 p.m.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota compact tractors. Rated #1 for reliability in the under 100 horsepower category, they're designed for easy operation and feature performance-matched attachments. Right now, put 0 down and get 0% APR for 84 months, plus save up to $1,400. Now through December 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Are you tired of living with chronic pain, knee pain, joint pain? Listen carefully, because now there are new treatments available here. Not talking surgery or steroids. These are regenerative treatments from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Willie Daunic here. QC Kinetics is the leader in these exciting biologic therapies that help restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints with lasting results. So if you've got pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back, joint pain that won't go away, you need to check out these new treatments with astonishing patient satisfaction reports. They can actually help your body restore and repair itself with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery. So call now to schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. Tired of dealing with joint pain and want to get moving again? You need to learn more about how biologic therapies are changing the way we think about dealing with joint pain. It's exciting stuff, so don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
Robbie Stanley.
Coming in off the water. Yeah. Coming in there to tailgate.
Joe Rex Road.
That was fun.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rex Road every weekday from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. If you've missed any of today's show, just search Darren, Daunic, and Chase on Apple, Spotify, or on your favorite podcast platform.
Hey, if you're going to be out in the Mount Juliet area tonight, we'll have a presence there. The game will be there. Jonathan's Grill in Mount Juliet, 613 South Mount Juliet Road for Monday Night Football. You can come by there and watch the game, grab some swag, have a chance for you to win tickets to an upcoming Vanderbilt football game. Back here on Darren, Daunic, and Chase, presented by Creation CBD. Creation CBD products curated for life. By the way, I'll be joining Ryan Porth tonight during Preds Insiders during the 6 o'clock hour. He will also be joined by Predators head coach John Hines. So keep that in mind tonight.
All right.
During the 6 o'clock hour, as preseason is about to get cranked up, starting this weekend, this Sunday. A little double dip to get things going.
Yep. Rookie tournament going on. They got one more game tomorrow. I have not seen the games, but apparently defense has been a problem. But they have scored some goals. Tomasino has scored in both games. So that's a good sign that he continues to be. I can remember Philip Forsberg really shining in the rookie camp the year that he busted out when he was about the same age. Fingers crossed. We'll see. We don't want to hype up too much Tomasino, but I think he's got a chance. You
don't want to get that hype train rolling down the tracks?
No, I don't think it's fair to overhype him, but I think at some point, this is what I heard Kara Hammer and Brooks Bratton on the podcast. They talked to Carl Taylor. They're like, he said he is going to play in this league for a long time, but I just don't know when he's going to start having the success. But
you know where
there's no question he is going to get there.
I'm ready to see him now.
Okay. I know you're ready, but
Let's
sometimes these things take time. We'll see.
Well, yeah, but that's okay. I can reassess and say, okay, he's not ready yet.
Yeah.
but I want to see him now.
Okay. Well, let's watch him in training camp. That's the next thing. But he's passed all the tests. The prospect camp and then this rookie camp, he's clearly playing above the level of the other guys there, which is a good sign.
You asked the question, Sam Ficken, when he is ready to come back. What if it's sooner rather than later?
At some point, he's going to come off of IR.
Yeah. So what if in a couple weeks he's ready to rock and roll?
And let's say as part of the hypothetical we're going to talk about here, that Mr. Bullock does nothing to screw it up. Because as we say often, you know, if he has some bad games and Ficken comes off the DL or the IR, then it's an easy decision, right? It's a no-brainer. But I'm talking about a scenario where Bullock keeps doing the job, and then the guy who won the job, who's done nothing to lose the job, comes off IR. That's the difficult decision, and that might happen in a couple weeks. So what do you do? I can tell you that I think I would just have to bite the bullet and ride the hot hand, and I would have to tell Mr. Ficken that I'm really sorry, but you're going to have to go on the practice squad. That's my thought, but you tell me what you think. What would you do?
Willie, bite the bullet. Look, the biggest fallacy going out there is that you don't lose your job.
Okay, so the old school, but this is something that's been talked about for decades, right? You can't lose your job. You shouldn't lose your job to injury.
Yeah, but you can and you will. I mean, it stinks, but what do you yes, the answer is.
But he was perfect. Ficken
if
never
Randy
missed.
Bullock keeps kicking field goals and making them and extra points, he's going to be the kicker. And Sam Ficken will not be, period. I mean, this whole fallacy, you can't lose your job. Yes, you can. It's happened many, many, many times in sports over the years. And so I don't know why we keep using that phrase. You can't lose your job when you're injured to an injury. Yes,
all right, so
can.
let's tweak it for one more scenario. That Bullock does look a little shaky. It's not a clear cut he should lose the job, but if he's shaky, would that then, because I do think there's a scenario where this becomes a very tough decision.
It's not a tough decision.
Where it's a let's make a deal. Like which door? Door number one, door number two.
No, it's not. The only way it's a tough decision is if Randy Bullock starts missing a lot. And then that's over.
But missing a lot, yes. But missing a little. Like he did miss one yesterday. He wasn't perfect. So if he's not perfect but he's good, like I do think there could be some gray area where you have a tough call.
Hey, if we're having that discussion after last week's discussion about
do you doubt it? I mean, this is Titans kickers we're talking about.
No, I know, but that means things are going in the right direction. If we're having to, like, oh my gosh, tough choices. Which one should it be, Ficken or Bullock?
Ficken or Bullock. How did we get here?
That'll do it for. Do you have a canoe, by the way, I can borrow?
Oh man,
we are serious. I mean, seriously, we're like underwater. We've taken on a lot of rain. A lot of rain. All right, that will do it for our show today. In all seriousness, be careful and cognizant and aware of the rain and the standing water if you're out and about, because we have taken on heap loads of rain in the last 48 to 72 hours.
We averaged 9.6 more rain per year, inches of rain per year than Seattle. That was pointed out yesterday. More trash talking by Nashville Severe Weather, which is a great follow on Twitter. So trash talking Seattle, we even get more rain than Seattle.
Stay dry, be safe. We want you back with us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We'll see you then.
The voice of reason.
I just want to go on and get it out there and we'll move on. This may have been the worst football weekend I've ever experienced in my life.
The voice of the fan.
Taylor and